You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2301 2301 Chapter 501, The Ancient Past, thanks to the 7 Sword Sex Big Boss Silver, 10,000 requests for 1. Yun Xiao was back. It was just that the delay was a little too long. Of course, Suyu did not care. He did not know where the ancient city was. Even if Yun Xiao had walked for a day or two, he still did not know. She had only walked for less than 2 hours. When Suyu saw her return, he was still a little surprised. "Sir, you're back already?" Yun Xiao was thinking about a question. "Yes, why did I come back so quickly? Look, this Suyu doesn't even care. Fortunately, I still have to continue going out. This time. I'll go around one more time." "You're back." Yun Xiao said calmly, "I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to hold on. Let's go and meet the supreme ruler of the 36 guardians." Suyu was a little excited. He had met his boss. In the next moment, Suyu disappeared from where he was, and Yun Xiao disappeared with him in an instant. In the distance, Tianmie's eyes widened. "He came to my place. That's not right. Why did he leave? Where did he go? Xing Hong, where is Yun Xiao taking him?" Tianmie was very anxious, so he couldn't fly out. Otherwise, he would have to chase after him and ask, "Yun Xiao, where are you taking my disciple?" Xing Hong was stunned at first. A moment later, he seemed to have thought of something. His gaze was a little strange. He glanced at the distant ancient city of Tianmie. After a long while, he transmitted his voice, "Wait a moment. Yun Xiao, she might have something to do." It was hard to say. Yun Xiao wouldn't go to look for Big Brother, right? If that was the case, there was no hope for Tianmie. With Suyu's current strength, he couldn't support too many ancient cities. If Yun Xiao did not cause trouble, under normal circumstances, according to the distance, close relatives, and various rankings, Heaven's destruction would also be ranked. However, Yun Xiao had left with Suyu. This Heaven's destruction might be looking forward to nothing. Heaven's destruction was not stupid. His gaze changed and he consoled himself, "Right, it's time to go and do something. It must be. In terms of emotions and logic, it should be my turn, right? That old fellow doesn't care whether he goes out or not, right?" "Right." Xing Hong agreed. That's right, that's right." Apocalypse was relieved. A stone sculpture said faintly, "He must have gone to look for boss." Is there a need to say that? Yun Xiao has benefits, of course he's thinking about boss. Apocalypse, you're still dreaming. Chongping. Apocalypse was furious. "I know, but I won't say it. You actually broke my imagination. I'll beat you to death." Boom. The next moment, the Heavenly River City Lord flew out of the city in a daze. He didn't say anything, but his mouth, a loud and clear voice came out, "Pingdu, how dare you go against the orders of the Guardians? Today, I'll help the Guardians clear their doors." Boom. In a daze, the Heavenly River City Lord raised his long sword and charged towards Chongping Ancient City, directly charging into the city. The City Lord of Chongping was stunned. Was it really worth it? Yes, I didn't want the alliance to be established, but I hadn't even started. I didn't even do anything. I only said a few words and let it be that I was destroyed by the stone statue. Now, isn't Tianhe going too far? He directly charged into the city. This was simply intolerable. The other city lords were also shocked. So fierce. Just because he had shown Suyu his might, it wasn't enough to beat up the stone statue. Now, the city lord had personally made a move. He even wanted to kill the ancient city lord. Wasn't this too ruthless? Tian he was at a loss. He reacted and wanted to vomit blood. F***ck. This was done by the stone statue. God damn it, your ancestor. What kind of stimulation did you receive this time? Recently, Tian Mia had been very crazy. Tian he was about to cry. What kind of situation was this? You haven't spoken for so many years, but you've become as active as a 30,000-year-old child. What are you doing? Was it something that humans did? You want me to go into someone else's territory and kill someone? You must be crazy. Even if Apocalypse cursed, he would still raise his sword and chop. Whatever, Ping Du was going crazy and wanted to kill him. He had to strike first. A group of stone sculptures were watching the show. Apocalypse and Chongping were fighting. Chongping was the same. Why were they provoking Apocalypse now? Heaven Extinguisher was about to go crazy, yet you still provoked him. Sigh, you're really looking for trouble for nothing. Chongping's stone sculpture was also speechless. Heaven Extinguisher had been provoked too much recently. Was it appropriate for you to come looking for trouble just because I said so? This Tianhe is really unlucky to be your city lord. However, the group of stone sculptures were all thinking, did this Yun Xiao bring Su Yu to the boss side? If that was the case, then the situation was a little hard to say. There was a city lord who became the boss back then, but in the end, he was a madman. This Su Yu wasn't a good person either. He was still weak now, but now that he was strong, wasn't he afraid that the same thing would happen again? What alliance did Su Yu make this time? Actually, even the stone sculptures felt that it was somewhat familiar. It was quite familiar. Back then, it seemed to have happened once. Therefore, no one paid too much attention to it. In fact, this matter was hard to say. After that time, that fellow went through a lot of trouble. In the end, even the undead world was affected, causing a huge change in the heavenly battlefield. After that, their boss personally killed that fellow. This wouldn't happen again, right? Reincarnation. Again and again. A group of stone sculptures sighed. Some of them had already calmed down. It had been too many years, too many times. They just had to get used to it. This time, Yin Xiao took a detour with Su Yu. They took a detour for a few hours. When the sky turned dark, under Su Yu's confused gaze, Yun Xiao separated the surface of the sea and stepped into the sea. Su Yu felt a little strange. This place. I'm still familiar with it. I seem to have been here before. It's not too far from the ancient city of Xinghong, right? Why did I take a detour for a few hours? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2302. 2302 Chapter 501, The Past of the Ancient Era, thanks to the big boss of the Seven Sword Sect, Silver, 10,000 requests for 2. Could it be that they had to take a detour in order to see his true face? Could it be that this boss of the ancient stone sculptures was very special? Was he living in a special space? With such a strange feeling, the clouds kept diving down. 1,000 meters, 10,000 meters, 30,000 meters, 50,000 meters. This was also the strange thing about the Sea of Stars. The Sea of Stars was floating in the air, and the land that was floating to the ground was only about 10,000 meters. The land below had the sky. Logically speaking, it should only be a few thousand meters deep. However, the Sea of Stars, even if you went down 100,000 meters, 1,000,000 meters, there were some places that you couldn't see the bottom of. If you continued diving, you might enter a small world. In the heavenly battlefield, such a strange place wasn't a single place. For example, the Sea of Desire Plain. These places were all very strange. This time, perhaps it was because he followed the clouds, but he didn't dive to the entrance of a small world. Instead, he dived all the way. Very quickly, a brilliant and enormous ancient city appeared before Su Yu's eyes. The ancient city sank into the water. It was incomparably quiet, as if it had sunk for countless years. It was a dead city. Not a single person existed. There was also no aura of life. Of course, there was also no aura of death. Amazing. Upon seeing this ancient city, Su Yu had to admit that it was amazing. This stone sculpture was really able to suppress an ancient city by himself. He had heard that it was the strongest undead passageway. It was quite amazing. Half-Emperor. Just thinking about it made him a little excited. He had seen such an expert before, but he had never interacted with him. He had seen the Demon Emperor and the Devourer Half-Emperor, but he had never interacted with them. When he was in the ancient city, he had wanted to talk to Madwa, but Madwa had ignored him. Now, he could finally see a half-emperor expert. While he was still thinking about it, he suddenly heard an ancient voice that contained the philosophy of the great Tao. You are Su Yu? Su Yu's vision blurred, as if he had appeared in an unfamiliar world. It was the same as the first time he saw the heaven-destroying stone sculpture. He had been dragged to another world. But this time, he did not notice anything unusual. It was as if he had naturally crossed to another world. Beside him, Yun Shao was still there. Opposite him, an old man with a hunched back and a long white beard walked towards Su Yu with a cane. Su Yu was stunned. Was this the half-emperor? I am Su Yu. Greetings, sir. The old man smiled and looked at Su Yu. Just as he was about to speak, Yun Shao asked curiously, Boss, what's wrong? Oh, nothing. The old man instantly turned into a young man. He was extremely handsome, and there was a hint of laziness in his eyes. He smiled lightly and said, Are you very surprised? It looks like the expert in your heart is the same as before. Su Yu was stunned for a moment. What the hell? He did not dare to think too much and hurriedly said, Greetings, sir. The old turtle, or rather, the young man, lazily waved his hand. A chair appeared in front of Su Yu, and the young man also sat down. He chuckled and said, Sit down and chat. It has been some time since I last chatted with young people. Su Yu felt a little strange. He looked around from the corner of his eyes and then looked at Yun Shao. He blamed himself for being careless. There was no guarantee of safety at all. Guan was so excited that he forgot that this was the territory of a half-emperor. He should have made some preparations before coming here, right? Without batting an eyelid, he summoned Little Hairy Ball and casually placed it on his shoulder. The young man glanced at Little Hairy Ball, and Little Hairy Ball's two eyes looked at him as well. Their eyes met, and after a long while, the young man suddenly smiled and said, This is interesting. Is Doubao all right? Su Yu was at a loss. Little Hairy Ball was at a loss. Even Yun Shao was surprised. After a while, he said, Boss, Doubao. Oh, the one from the God-devouring clan. The young man chuckled and said, You probably don't remember much. I still remember that Doubao. A few days ago, I felt his aura. Oh. Now, Yun Shao also knew. It's the one from the God-devouring clan. A few days ago, he fought with that half-emperor of the demon clan. Half-emperor? The young man said with a faint smile, That guy doesn't deserve the title of half-emperor. The demon clan was also a powerful clan. It was ranked in the top 5 of the 10,000 clans in the universe. In the past, the half-emperor of the demon clan was extremely powerful. He could break mountains and seas with one punch. He broke Mount Qian Kun and suppressed the Dead Spirit Sea. This guy is far inferior to him. He shook his head. The gap is too big. If he was really a half-emperor of the demon clan, Doubao wouldn't dare to tease him. That half-emperor of the demon clan changed the color of the universe when he was angry. The world shook and the demon clan declined. Su Yu was stunned. What did he mean? In the ancient times, the half-emperor of the demon race was extremely powerful. The half-emperor of the demon race was far inferior to the half-emperor of the demon race in the past. Then, he heard the young man say with a smile, at that time, the half-emperor of the demon race descended, and I was nothing. Sigh, as expected, it's better to live longer than to be strong, and to live longer, and to endure until the strong ones die. He shook his head and sighed. It felt like things had changed, but people had changed. Yun Xiao didn't say anything. The young man looked at Su Yu with a faint smile on his face. He sized Su Yu up as if he had seen through everything. Su Yu didn't think about anything else. At this moment, he didn't dare think about anything else. The only thing he thought about was Do Bao. Little Harry Ball's father might be called Do Bao. What a cute name. What a common name. Not bad. His father was Do Bao, and his son was Harry Ball. It was good that he did not have to call the other party Big Harry Ball anymore. He had to call the other party Do Bao. Of course, he could do that if he was not afraid of death. He thought of all sorts of things. The young man sized him up. After a long while, he slowly said, "You have opened the heavenly cycle primordial aperture, but you haven't fully opened the heavenly cycle divine aperture, right? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories." Chapter 2303. 2303 Chapter 501, The Ancient Past, thanks to the Seven Sword Sect Master Silver, 10,000 requests for 3. No. Su Yu hurriedly replied. The young man smiled faintly and said, "The origin aperture has been opened, but I accidentally opened half of the heaven aperture. I don't know if it's good luck or bad luck. Opening half of the heaven aperture isn't a good thing, it's a troublesome thing. Absorbing the death aura as a source of energy, you sure know how to think, dare to think. My lord, I." The young man raised his hand lightly and said, "This half of the heavenly aperture has absorbed too much aura of death. It's not a good thing. Sooner or later, it will be fully absorbed and the aura of death will overflow. It will be very difficult to reverse it. However, it's hard to say whether it's good or bad." The young man sighed and said, "I haven't opened the heavenly aperture, so I only know a little about this. You might be the only cultivator who has opened the heavenly aperture since ancient times." Su Yu explained, "I don't think so. Someone from the human race opened it before, but because the young aperture absorbed too much energy, the powerhouse who opened it died." "How strong?" The young man's interest was piqued. Su Yu said dryly, "9th level of Ling Yun." The clouds were silent, and the young man was silent. Ling Yun, which realm was he at? It had been so long that we almost forgot. The young man was also speechless. After a long while, he smiled and said, "The human race is indeed blessed by the heavens. They have been destroyed time and time again, rising again and again." Su Yu was stunned. Destroyed time and time again? What did he mean? The young man said slowly, "Let's not talk about this. The human race, the human realm should have changed a lot by now. Has the inheritance been cut off?" Su Yu said carefully, "Not really. There are many invincible existences in the human race. I'm talking about the ancient inheritance." Su Yu shook his head. "I'm not sure about that. I'm just a small figure in the human realm. I don't know the specific information of the higher-ups." This was the truth. He really didn't know the specific situation of the human race. When he left, he just soared into the sky. In the human race, he was really not a big figure. Yun Xiao knew that and said, "The human race's inheritance should have been cut off. Now, they are all relying on some ruins to support them. A few hundred years ago, dozens of eternal beings were born. The young man sighed and said, "They are truly blessed by the heavens. Their luck is flourishing. It's just some lingering shadows that gave birth to dozens of eons. It's unbelievable. It's luck and talent." Suyu also nodded. This was true. The human race was still very powerful. A few hundred years ago, there wasn't a single invincible one. They were on the verge of extinction. In the blink of an eye, dozens of invincible ones appeared. It had to be said that even the heavens were shocked. How could this be possible? Which race was the same as the human race? Even if they obtained the ancient ruins, it didn't mean that they were invincible. However, the human race really appeared dozens of invincible races in an instant, instantly breaking the situation of the entire universe. It allowed the human race to rise again, becoming one of the top 10 races, and even one of the top 5 powerful races. The young man looked at Suyu, as if he knew his family's treasures. He said, after opening the heavenly cycle aperture and learning the 5 elements divine art, "It's a little incomplete, and I didn't use it too well. The gap between me and my physical body is too big. My physical body is learning, the 72 forge iron. It seems like it's about to be completed. That's surprising." He looked at it again and said, "This divine literature battle technique of yours." He seemed to have noticed something. After a long while, he shook his head and said, "The difference is still too big. It's still too early to complete it. I wonder if it's a good thing or a bad thing." When tombstone. He was suddenly stunned. He looked at Suyu, and Suyu was shocked. "You saw this too?" The young man hesitated for a moment before saying, "This is an ominous object. It would be best if, forget it, this can also be considered as a legacy of your lineage. However, a tombstone isn't a good object. This is a tombstone from back then. Actually, it wasn't left behind for the sake of heritage, but a real tombstone." Suyu was taken aback. "A real tombstone?" Sigh. The young man sighed, "Yes, a real tombstone. This is a group of divine one experts who were about to reach the end of their lives. In order to mourn for that person, in the end, they sacrificed their lives to build a tomb. This is the other party's tombstone. It actually spread out." Yun Xiao also said, "I knew it, it looks familiar." As expected, it's that tombstone. The young man nodded slightly. "It's that tombstone, it actually spread out. Logically speaking, it shouldn't." He looked at Suyu and asked, "Who took it out?" Suyu hesitated for a moment before saying, "The first manor head of the Great Xia Manor, the younger brother of the Great Xia King." The Great Xia King. The young man fell into deep thought, and after a long while, he said, "The person who took out this tombstone is extraordinary. The Great Xia Manor. The Great Xia King, could it be that he has the bloodline of the ancient human king?" Suyu was taken aback. Why was there another king? The young man did not say much on the tombstone. He quickly said, "Keep it. Although it's unknown, it's of the same origin to your lineage. If you manage to get it, there won't be much of a problem. If the others manage to get it, there might be trouble." Suyu was stunned by his words. He felt that the tombstone had a great origin. Whose tombstone was it? Where did Xia Qin get it from? It was said that it was also a ruin. Other people had attained Tao in the ruin, but Xia Qin did not. He only got the tombstone. Suyu could not help but say, "Sir, I heard that the tombstone was obtained in a ruin. The human race obtained many treasures in the ruin. Those who were invincible in the opening of a mansion all attained Tao in the ruin, but this ruin seems to only have the tombstone." The young man pondered for a moment before slowly saying, "Ruin. Tao, ruin, there are many types of ruins. The ruins that you mentioned might be slightly different from the ruins that I understand." The young man said softly, "From what I understand, the ruins should be the location of some ancient legacy items left behind after the destruction of the ancient era. These items might not be very powerful, but they are very important. They are not things that can be compared to Tao verification. Of course, there are some things that might not be able to help you become stronger, but they are very important. The ancient ruins might not be there to help you become stronger. Perhaps they are there to help you walk your own path and walk your own path. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2304. 2304 Chapter 501, The Past of the Ancient Era, thanks to the 7-sword sex Big Shot Silver, 10,000 requests for 4. As for the ruins you mentioned. He paused for a moment before saying, it's a bit like the first awakening, the inheritance left behind by the human race. Su Yu was stunned for a moment. He had been stunned many times today, but at this moment, he was a little shocked. Sir. Sir's first awakening, inheritance. What does that mean? The young man smiled faintly and said, don't tell me you feel that this is how the myriad realms of the heavens have been since the great destruction of the antiquity age. Su Yu was at a loss, wasn't that so? Yun Xiao spoke straightforwardly. He said straightforwardly, after the great destruction of the antiquity age, the myriad races of the heavens have all revived a few times. It can be considered as reviving their civilization. This isn't the first time that the myriad heavens battlefield has opened. It's not the first time that your human race has revived. After so many failures, the current situation was created. Su Yu was shocked. This was completely different from the history he knew. Of course, the history of the human race was only around 400 years old. 400 years ago, it was like a feudal dynasty. One day, the dynasty was destroyed and enemies came from the outer regions. After that, the king of the heavenly battlefield rose up and established the era of the heavenly battlefield. This was the history that Su Yu and the others had studied. Before this, there were almost no records. But today, someone told him that the heavenly battlefield was not the first time it opened, but had opened many times. And the great destruction of the human race was not the first time either. It was many times. This was unbelievable. Yun Xiao was not surprised and said indifferently, the last time the human civilization was destroyed was about 5,000 years ago. I still remember some of it, because my previous city lord was a human. Su Yu was a little confused. He muttered, then, the ruins of the human race might not have been left from the ancient times. How could there be so many ruins left from the ancient times? Yun Xiao said rudely, I only know that the Starry Mansion is really an ancient ruin. As for the others, I haven't seen many. Those that I have seen are usually taken away by others. There aren't many left from the real inheritance until now. According to what you said, the brother of the great Xia King might have really entered an ancient ruin. As for the great Xia King, they should have inherited a ruin from the ancient times. In the ancient times, who had nothing to do and left a place to prove their Tao for their descendants. The ancient times could prove their Tao everywhere. After the ancient times, during the period of great destruction, after the human race revived once, they left a large number of backups for the human race. They left an opportunity to prove their Tao and leave an opportunity for the civilization to revive again. Su Yu was enlightened. So that was the case. During the ancient era, Tao could be proven everywhere. There was simply no need to leave behind any backups. The ancient human race probably did not think that they would be destroyed. How could they leave behind such a perfect inheritance for the human race to cultivate all the way to invincibility? There was no need. Only after experiencing it once did the later generations know that this civilization would be destroyed. Since the glorious ancient civilization was destroyed, they would leave behind some backups to give the later generations a chance to rise up. This was logical. Su Yu took a deep breath and could not help but ask, then, how many times did the human race revive, but they were all destroyed? Yun Xiao smiled faintly and said, not really. There was once when the human race won. Most of the time, both sides suffered heavy losses and returned to their own nests to lick their wounds. The human race was born to be targeted. The suppression power of the unbounded domain was a hard injury. Once they come out, they can either sweep across the heavens or, they can only be destroyed. No one can tolerate the existence of the human race. Moreover, the human race is very aggressive. When they first awakened, I remember many human experts clamoring to restore the glory of the ancient times and sweep across the heavens. In the end, they were overthrown by the 10,000 races and almost wiped out the human race. Since the ancient era, has the human race never produced an invincible civilized master? Unable to activate the suppressive force of the human realm? Hearing those words, Yun Shao hesitated. The young man smiled and said, the suppressive force of the human realm. We, who aren't humans, don't know much about it. We only know one thing. Activating the realm of the human realm is extremely difficult. Perhaps only you humans know the details of the situation. Therefore, the human race will either be destroyed or be destroyed again after a period of dominance. There will be no exceptions. This is because even if you want to become the overlord, you won't be able to make the 10,000 races give up. The 10,000 races aren't willing to give up either. Furthermore, the human race has never been able to compare to the ancient times. At this point, the young man smiled and said, let's not talk about this anymore. These things are already history. They are all in the past. For the human race to still exist, it can only be said that, you are truly blessed by the heavens. He had said this word many times. Suyu thought for a moment before nodding. It made sense. According to what they had said, it had already been destroyed many times. Countless races had become a thing of the past, and only the human race still existed. Of course, there were also some ancient races. In truth, it had not been easy for them. They had not even been destroyed. Amazing. The young man changed the topic. Are you sure that you want to become the city lord? Suyu hesitated for a moment before nodding. I want to become the master of this city. The young man smiled and said, don't worry. There are some things that I still have to explain to you. This city is called Hongmeng City. It has existed since ancient times. Of the 36 sacred cities, this city is the first. With this city, there were 35 later sacred cities that sealed off the undead passageway. The undead are a very special race, a world that has never been destroyed. The young man slowly said, the history of the undead is as long as that of the human race. In the beginning, there was no problem, but one day, something unexpected happened, and the undead realm and the living realm overlapped. The undead were able to invade the living realm, and from then on, our mission was to seal off this realm. We didn't allow the living souls to come into contact with the dead souls, and the sacred city was the middle point. It was the place where the living souls and the dead souls met. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2305. 2305 Chapter 501, The Ancient Past, thanks to the 7 Swords of Heaven splitting silver, 10,000 requests for 5. This place is also the place with the highest degree of overlap. Below the path of the undead is a powerful kingdom of the undead. The aura of death is extremely dense, and there are constantly undead lords appearing and attacking this realm. If you were to carry this city, I would still be able to barely defend it. However, if I am unable to do so, the aura of death that is spreading out is beyond your imagination. There haven't been many riots in this place over the years because the undead are also waiting for an opportunity to exhaust me. I think that very soon, an even stronger undead attack will appear here. And your mission might be very difficult. Suyu waited for him to speak for a while and didn't really care about these things. He went straight to the point and said, Sir, if I'm carrying the aura of death for you, sir, are you willing to teach those rascals a lesson for me? Let's not talk about anything else but benefits. If you help me, I'll help you. Riches and honor come from danger. If there was danger, that was too normal. There were no benefits that came in vain. If there was no danger, what right did the half-emperor have to help you? Was he very familiar with you? You're not even from the human race, but you're very handsome. In the myriad realms of the heavens, if one didn't talk about benefits and feelings, that would be acting like a hooligan. The young man smiled. As long as you can help me when I need it, I can help you within the rules. Rules. Suyu said in a deep voice, are the rules like the other ancient cities? More or less. The young man said indifferently, everything is given to each other. If you have contributed to the suppression of the passageway, you will naturally receive a corresponding compensation. Suppressing the passageway of the undead is a great contribution. Unfortunately, the ancient era was destroyed and it is impossible to build another sacred city. Otherwise, if you build another sacred city, you might be able to guard a city by yourself and become our colleague. Suyu cursed silently. Forget it. I don't want this. It's too tragic. Countless years had turned into a stone statue. To be honest, if it was Suyu, he would probably have gone crazy. Old Turtle obviously knew what he was thinking. He smiled and took out a black token. This is the City Lord token. After refining it, you will be the City Lord of this city. From now on, you will be linked to Hongmeng City. Boom! Just as he finished speaking, the City Lord token suddenly exploded with an extremely powerful aura. Ha ha ha. I also want to see who has the right to inherit my position. The powerful pressure caused Suyu's arm to explode, and blood and flesh flew everywhere. Suyu's expression changed. A trap. He gritted his teeth. What was going on? His chi and blood exploded. With a low roar, he reached out with his right hand and grabbed the City Lord token. His injured left hand clenched into a fist and punched out. At this moment, a shadow appeared on the City Lord token. Yun Shao was about to make a move when Old Turtle waved his hand and said telepathically, there's no rush. Take a look again. This is the mark of life he left behind in the past. It's just a remnant of his body. Split open the sky. At this moment, with a roar, Suyu reversed the death chi and exploded his yang aperture. He punched out and instantly slashed out with his saber. In the air, that shadow's aura was incomparably powerful. Laughing loudly, he also threw out a punch. Rumble. Suyu was sent flying, blood oozing out of his mouth. The shadow trembled for a moment, and said with a smile, too weak, Old Turtle. How can such a person be worthy of inheriting the position of Hongmeng City Lord? You are humiliating me. Too weak. Weak? Suyu gritted his teeth. Humiliating you? Am I very weak? He could tell that this wasn't a human. It was just a remnant mark. Am I weak? I've only cultivated for a short period of time. Am I weak? Are you looking down on me? Suyu roared and rushed forward. He punched out one punch after another. Not only that, the time technique that he didn't use much instantly exploded. He could tell that this was just a remnant of the past. What's so savage about it? Do you really think that I can't do anything to you? Using both fists and legs, time turns, I'll kick you to death, you bastard. Not only did Suyu kick him, he even said in an agitated tone, weak? I've only cultivated for less than a year, who are you? Who do you think you are? You're not worthy to compare with me. I've killed my way to the top of the heaven roll, and all the races in the heavens have submitted to me. Who are you? Could it be that city lord who played with fire and set himself on fire back then, an existence who played himself to death? The one who wanted to dominate the heavens and die miserably in the end? He was not stupid and could roughly guess who the other party was. He quickly attacked while provoking, I'm weak. I'm just soaring in the air. What realm are you at? Are you qualified to compete with me? Do you know what soaring in the air is? If you have the guts to fight with someone of the same level and can't kill you with one punch, then I'm useless. Ridiculous, who knows how many tens of thousands of years old ghosts are competing with me, a youth who's not even 20 years old. Maybe you can use the invincible state of sun and moon to fight against me, soaring into the sky, you're worthy. Vicious tongue Su Yu. At this moment, the shadow was also slightly shaken by his time technique. Coupled with Su Yu's words, the shadow suddenly retreated some distance. Looking at Su Yu, it suddenly smiled and said, "You are very interesting, soaring into the sky." Was Su Yu soaring into the sky? It seemed like. Yes. His willpower was above the clouds. His physical body was soaring into the sky, but it was also similar to Ling Yun. His blade aura had transformed once. However, it was true that Su Yu's realm was low. A low realm and low strength are not excuses. The shadow said indifferently, you can't blame others for being stronger than you and being born earlier than you just because you're weak. Outsiders have no obligation to wait for you to grow up. When you become stronger, you'll be weak, and you'll be young. All you can say is that you deserve it. Your ancestor isn't young. Why can't he be infinitely strong and let your ancestor beat me to death? That makes sense. Su Yu actually felt that he had met an opponent who was even better at sophistry than him. Su Yu felt a sense of excitement as if he had met his match. That's true. Then. I'll beat you to death first. I don't need my ancestor. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2306. 2306 Chapter 501, The Ancient Past, thanks to the 7 swords splitting the sky Big Boss Silver, 10,000 requests for 6. Boom! The great battle erupted once again. Su Yu used all sorts of methods, so many that it made one's hair stand on end. Demonic arrival, divine change, all at once. It was only because he lacked essence blood, otherwise, he would have to devour essence blood to dry him. At this moment, the time method was also being used continuously by Su Yu, kicking time and space as if it was continuously fluctuating. Not only that, a small hairy ball entered the void and continued to secretly devour the willpower. Yes, the afterimages of the past were actually just a manifestation of willpower. Willpower was too strong and left some marks on some things. Reversing the body of an undead. As he continued to absorb the death aura provided by Xingyu actually resisted a little as if she didn't want to provide it. Su Yu cursed in his heart. What are you doing? I'm fighting, it won't kill you to provide some death aura. Su Yu hadn't had a real fight with someone for quite some time now. At this moment, he was also displaying all of his 18 different martial arts. The 5 elements evasion technique transformed into a phantom. In the face of disaster, he quietly endured the sneak attack. The other party also had many tricks up his sleeves. However, as they fought, the phantom seemed to be on the verge of dissipating. The phantom suddenly took a few steps back and sighed, this remnant of my will, has been worn away a lot. Otherwise. Bang! Su Yu did not give him a chance to talk about his plan at all. What was he going to say? He would only say it after he had beaten him to death. Screw you. Didn't you just say that I'm young? Serves you right for not having a strong remnant of my will. If you have the ability, resurrect me and beat me to death. Bang bang bang. After a flurry of hammers, a huge hammer appeared. Su Yu once again struck wildly. Against such a thing, this god-expanding hammer was even more effective. After hammering crazily for a while, the phantom tried to speak a few times, but Su Yu completely ignored it. What was the point of speaking to the enemy? He would speak slowly after he was killed. Hammering, burning, flooding. The death aura corroded. Su Yu was like an indefatigable tool person. After hammering crazily for more than an hour, with the final strike, with a boom, the phantom exploded. The phantom dissipated, with some speechlessness and some speechlessness. F***CKU. Why didn't you finish your sentence? If you have something to say it now. Su Yu panted heavily as he looked at the disappearing shadow. He secretly instructed little hairy ball to eat more. Say it. If you don't say it, I'll take it that you're a good-for-nothing by default. A good-for-nothing is indeed a good-for-nothing. Just like that, you're still testing me? Su Yu sneered. I can't even refute you even if I scold you, idiot. At the side, Old Turtle and Yun Xiao both had strange expressions on their faces. You've already scattered the afterimages, so what are you asking others to say? Are you talking to yourself and entertaining yourself? Don't you know that he has already completely dissipated? Of course Su Yu knows. However, it's fine if the other party has dissipated, it doesn't prevent me from saying a few words of contempt. As for whether or not I can hear you, that's the other party's business. Whether I say it or not, that's my business. Old Turtle looked at Su Yu, and after a long while, he said, You can inherit the position of City Lord, but I also want to remind you that you probably have one more powerful enemy. Su Yu looked at Old Turtle, and Old Turtle didn't say anything. The tunnel started to riot. A certain person, no, a certain monarch was roaring crazily, and he was furious. Furious. It was fine if he was scattered, but that fellow didn't say a word to him, and even mocked him. If he had the ability to live, he would come and beat him up. Okay, I'm coming. Underground, that crown necromancer is extremely angry. No one does things like this. I'm going to kill this guy. Bastard. There's no sense in a hero cherishing a hero, Su Yu, I'll remember you. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2307. 2307 Chapter 502, Have a Conscience 1. The undead passageway erupted. On Su Yu's side, the space trembled for a moment before the young man disappeared. Su Yu, on the other hand, appeared in a large hall in the blink of an eye. A stone statue was sitting cross-legged in the back hall. Just as he came out of the space, he heard a roar. I'm out. Su Yu, didn't you tell me to come out? I'm coming. Wait for me. Su Yu was stunned for a moment. He had been stunned many times today. What the hell? This voice was a little similar to the remnant spirit that he had just scattered. But now, the voice seemed to be coming from the undead passageway. Rumble. Old Turtle's aura erupted slightly and suppressed the passageway. The entire world instantly quieted down. Yun Xiao tilted his head and glanced at Su Yu. Seeing his dazed expression, he thought that Su Yu was afraid. He consoled him, it's all right. That fellow won't be able to come out. There's no one in Hongmeng Sacred City either. It'll be very difficult for him to come out. No. Su Yu was a little confused. Lord Yun Xiao, this. What's the situation? Nothing much. That person was killed in the Sacred City back then. After that, he turned into a death spirit and even became a death spirit sovereign. Now, this person is constantly killing his way out of Hongmeng Sacred City's passageway. Su Yu was extremely surprised. Sir, you mean that the previous city lord really turned into a dead spirit? Yes. There are still memories. There are still some remnants of memories. Su Yu was speechless. In that case, he actually knew that I had just destroyed his remnant thoughts. I told him to resurrect himself to kill me. Although he didn't resurrect himself, he still had the ability to fight, and he was still a king of the dead spirit. This was possible. Alright, it seemed to be possible. Suyu himself had thought that if he died one day and turned into a necromancer, if he had any memories left, he would have to bring the necromancer to the outside world to take revenge. So, someone really did it. He looked at the stone statue again. This stone statue didn't maintain its human form, but instead, it was an incomparably huge turtle, somewhat similar to the rotary turtle. Turtle? Suyu was surprised. Such a powerful half-emperor was actually a turtle. The turtle clan was not considered very powerful. He did not expect that this clan had a half-emperor. Of course, the turtle clan probably did not even know about it. The old turtle suppressed it for a while before the roar gradually subsided. The stone statue did not transform into a human again. It slowly said, "Suyu, you can refine the city lord token now." Suyu couldn't help but ask, "Sir, this? He has become a dead spirit?" "Yes." The old turtle said leisurely, "Becoming a dead spirit is also the last journey of the city lords. Many city lords would turn into dead spirits. Compared to ordinary experts, the probability was much higher." Suyu nodded and didn't ask any more questions. "Dead spirits. I'm afraid of him." "He's not afraid. This fellow, he can't come out again. Even if he comes out and I leave the city, this fellow can't do anything to me. If he has the ability, I'll beat the old turtle to death first." Suyu didn't think that this fellow was stronger than old turtle. Suyu ignored him and sat down cross-legged. He began to refine the city lord token. This city lord token was stronger than the other city lord tokens. The aura of death was denser and harder to refine. On the way to refine it, numerous messages bombarded Suyu. Suyu was in a daze. In his memories, a powerful figure appeared. That person had his hands behind his back as he looked into the distance. Behind him, numerous death spirit lords appeared. Suyu could tell at a glance that they were all death spirit lords. This was because death spirit lords were different from ordinary death spirits. Their eyes were bright, and their clothes were different. For example, Xingyu liked to wear capes. Death spirits are also one of the 10,000 races. It's harder to revive after death than living beings. The 10,000 races are fighting for hegemony, so how can there be one less death spirit race? The man's voice was loud and resounding throughout the world. "Everyone, kill our way out of this sacred city that has imprisoned us. Let the 10,000 worlds be filled with our homeland. Kill." The dead soul's aura of death surged and covered the entire world. The scene changed. The dead soul lords fell one after another. A gigantic turtle flew through the air and stomped out with all four limbs. The dead soul lords were either forced back into the passageway or killed on the spot. The aura of death spread out. "He too, you've crossed the line." In the sky, the old turtle looked at the powerhouse with a crown on his head and said slowly, "Rules cannot be crossed." "Rules?" The man looked up at the sky and said with a smile, "All the races can fight for hegemony. Why can't the undead race? Rules are so unfair. Are they so laughable? Then today, I will break the rules." Sigh. With a sigh, the next moment, in his memory, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The river of time crossed the heaven and earth. After an unknown amount of time, the man fell to the ground. His face was gloomy, and blood dripped from his mouth. However, Suyu's expression changed. That man had a pattern on his arm. A pattern. Suyu was too concerned about this. The first thing he saw was this pattern. It was somewhat different from the pattern in his memory. It seemed to be different, but it was a pattern. What was going on? The man coughed up blood. He looked at the sky and sighed. "I'm not as good as you, old turtle. I lost. But although I'm dead, I'll still come back. You wait for me." The fire of darkness burned the man. The world was dark. The blood clouds fell and the rain of blood swayed. The man was reborn in the fire of darkness. He completely turned into a dead spirit. He stepped into a huge tunnel with a hint of confusion in his eyes. I might have forgotten a lot, but I still remember that I will come back. Break this so-called rule. Wait for me. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2308. 2308 Chapter 502, A person must have a conscience too. Su Yu's vision blurred, and sweat seeped out from his forehead. Through refining the City Lord token, he seemed to have seen some things about the previous City Lord. This fellow had really brought the undead sovereign out, wanting to dominate the heavens and participate in the battle of the heavens. In the end, he was personally killed by Old Turtle, turning into a dead spirit on the spot, the instant he turned into a dead spirit. He actually retained some of his memories. Terrifying. The phenomenon of this fellow's death didn't feel any worse than the death of the Devil Emperor III. This meant that even though the other party wasn't as powerful as the Devil Emperor, he was still considered undefeatable. Perhaps, he was comparable to the great Xia Emperor. It was hard to be certain about this Su Yu. The few undefeatable figures that had died previously didn't have any blood rain, only blood clouds floating around. There was still some difference between the two. He directly transformed into an undead. Su Yu was a little surprised and shocked. This fellow was very strong, but Old Turtle was so terrifying. Not only did he kill many undefeatable undead, it seemed like he did not spend much effort to kill the City Lord. Terrifying. Su Yu raised his head and looked at Old Turtle's stone statue out of the corner of his eyes. His heart was in shock. If this went against the rules, would this fellow personally kill him? In the main hall, Old Turtle opened his eyes and looked at Su Yu as if he had seen through something. He slowly said, "The ancient rules cannot be violated. If we can survive, we will naturally abide by the rules. Without the rules, the sacred city will not exist." Su Yu was slightly shocked. He panted and said, "Sir is right. Su Yu will definitely uphold the rules of the sacred city. He will never go against the rules." As he said that, Su Yu casually said, "Sir, I saw some scenes just now. I saw the previous City Lord. During the battle, there was a pattern on his arm." "What is that?" Before Old Turtle replied, Yun Shao did not care. He casually said, "The ancient bloodline inheritance might be due to the rich bloodline, or the ancestor's strength was too strong, so the bloodline symbol appeared." Su Yu was slightly shocked and said dryly, "I previously, sir said that the Xia family where the great Xia king is located might be the ancient human king bloodline. Would their family have this symbol?" The Old Turtle said slowly, "It's just a guess. I'm not sure if the Xia family you mentioned is the ancient bloodline. As for the bloodline symbol, since the ancient times have passed, whether it will show the bloodline symbol is also uncertain. Even if the bloodline inheritance is present now, it might not be able to show." Su Yu hurriedly said, that Lord knows that there's a pattern on his arm. The pattern should feel like a lotus flower. What kind of bloodline inheritance is this?" He hurriedly sketched out the scene he saw in the air. He had never asked about this, never said anything, and kept it to himself. Because he didn't know if this thing would mislead anyone. At that moment, Su Yu still asked. He drew it out. When they saw the pattern in the air, Old Turtle and Yun Shao looked at it for a while. After a long time, Old Turtle said hesitantly, "This doesn't look like a lotus." Yun Shao also looked at it for a while and said, "This seems to be a mixture of bloodline symbols. It might be a mixture of two ancient bloodlines. It looks like a hibiscus, but it has some more flame patterns." She also looked at it carefully for a while and shook her head. "It's hard to judge, unless it's pure bloodline. Su Yu was not disappointed and hurriedly said, "Then, will this symbol always appear?" Old Turtle slowly said, "No, it doesn't need to appear all the time. However, it may appear when one is emotional, when a battle breaks out, or when one is exhausted. Since ancient times, it has been passed down for countless generations. Where have you seen this thing? According to my judgment, it should be difficult for humans to have such a bloodline. The inheritance is too long ago. It had been many years. There shouldn't be a bloodline symbol appearing anymore." As he spoke, the old turtle muttered again, "That's true, not necessarily. If this person has also reached eternity, perhaps he can activate the ancient bloodline inheritance." Su Yu hurriedly said, "Sir, is the ancient bloodline with the bloodline symbol very powerful?" "Powerful." The old turtle slowly said, "Your predecessor, he too, had an ancient bloodline and was a direct descendant. He didn't break off the inheritance. He just entered the eternal realm not long ago and was able to run amok in the heavens. With this symbol, it also indicates that at least one of his ancestors or his father's generation has stepped into the realm of Dao fusing." Dao fusing? Su Yu was stunned for a moment. Yun Xiao said calmly, "It's the so-called half-emperor realm now. In the past, we didn't call it that. Boss is also at this realm. Once a descendant is born, it might have the symbol of the bloodline inheritance of Boss. It might be a turtle." The old turtle looked at Yun Xiao with an inexplicable expression. "I have a descendant. Is it strange that it's a turtle?" "No, it should be strange. Of course." Old Turtle still said slowly, "The bloodline symbol might be related to cultivation techniques, battle techniques, and carriers. For example, the combination of lotus and fire that you showed me. The fire might be a battle technique. Lotus, maybe it's a race, carrier, or cultivation technique. This is hard to determine." He asked curiously, "Where did you see this thing?" Su Yu said perfunctorily, "In a ruin." Old Turtle did not ask any more. He did not want to ask about things that had nothing to do with him. He did not want to ask or worry about it. Only then could he sleep peacefully. He knew that Su Yu must have seen something, so he said again, "Rules cannot be violated. Rules, not rules. Rules, it's me, it's you. It could be anyone who set them, and rules are different." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2309. 2309 Chapter 502, A Person Must Have a Conscience 3. Not every rule set by anyone can become a rule. If you follow the rules, if you violate the rules, you will be abandoned. Su Yu, I hope you will remember this. Su Yu's heart turned cold. He somewhat understood. The rules were not set by Old Turtle. They were set by an even stronger person, or perhaps the emperor of that era. And the Old Turtle was the executor. He had no right to violate the rules, so he could only enforce them. Even the previous city lord was killed because he violated the rules. Su Yu took a deep breath and quickly said, "Your subordinate understands." At this moment, the city lord token had already been refined by him. However, other than when he refined it, there was some death aura. Now, there was no death aura at all, which was surprising. It seemed that the Old Turtle had taken on all of it himself. He was indeed powerful. For others, such as Xinghong and Yun Xiao, Su Yu had taken on a lot of aura of death once he refined it. Does this mean that I can become the city lords of a few more cities? The prerequisite was that Old Turtle should not move around. Otherwise, Su Yu would be worried that he would be killed by the aura of death here. This was because there was a previous city lord who seemed to be very disobedient and kept rebelling. Old Turtle did not say anything else. He closed his eyes as if he was about to fall asleep. The moment he closed his eyes, Su Yu heard what he said. "I hope you don't take the road of river map. I struggled when I killed him. I hope you won't become the next river map. Su Yu shook his head. He wouldn't. Don't worry. River Map was an idiot. Old Turtle had already said the rules countless times, yet he still went against the rules at this time. He insisted on going against Old Turtle, wanting to break the so-called rules. You should King have the ability to do it again. You don't have the strength, yet you still want to jump out and break the so-called rules. This isn't courage, this is madness, you're courting death. Su Yu cursed in his heart, I won't be like this. At least, I don't have the ability to defeat Old Turtle. Ha 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 he he he. Su Yu quickly let his thoughts run wild in his mind. He couldn't let his thoughts run wild. This peerless expert was right in front of him, he couldn't let his thoughts run wild. The divine text jumped, and the quiet divine text restrained all his emotions. He couldn't let his thoughts run wild. I want to keep a low profile. I'm a person who obeys the rules, and the boss of the stone sculptures is really mighty. Su Yu quickly hypnotized himself in his heart. Old Turtle's closed eyes trembled a few times. He wanted to open his eyes, but in the end, he gave up. Su Yu's messy thoughts did indeed give him some sense. However, it was very messy, with some flattering words mixed in. It made Old Turtle suspect Turtle Sheng. Which genius was so shameless? Deep in his heart, he was constantly engaging in flattering psychological activities. Su Yu did not care about these things. He looked at Yun Xiao with a bright smile and said, Master Yun Xiao, so I have successfully refined it. Now I am the city lord of Hongmeng City. Yes. Yun Xiao nodded and said casually, let's go. The matter here is over. Don't disturb boss for no reason. However, if you encounter any trouble, you can summon the sacred city to descend, in accordance with the rules. Su Yu grinned and said, understood. I understand the rules of the sacred city. There's only one core. You can't let the undead come out, and you can't let the aura of death overflow. If people don't attack me, I won't attack them. If people attack me, I'll kill their entire family. Sir, is my understanding correct? Yun Xiao was stunned for a moment and nodded after a long while. It was not wrong. It should be like this. Their mission was only one. They were not allowed to let the undead come out, and they were not allowed to let the aura of death expand. As for the rest. Even Xing Hong dared to secretly kill Invincible, and Yun Xiao dared to break the city and attack the city lord. There were actually no rules. Su Yu smiled. Wasn't it just a trivial matter? It was nothing. It was just a small matter. He quickly smiled and said, Sir, if I kill a large number of undead, can it be considered as a contribution to the sacred city? I killed a lot of undead in the ancient city of Xing Hong and the ancient city of Heaven Destruction. It should be a meritorious service, right? Yun Xiao hesitated for a moment and said, killing the undead is considered a meritorious service. Su Yu smiled and said, if I use dead souls to fight with powerful enemies, and the dead souls die in the end, will I end up the same as he too? Yun Xiao couldn't make a judgment. At this moment, the old ghost with his eyes closed had to open his eyes. He felt a little helpless, as if he had made a mistake. Perhaps, he would encounter some trouble. He hesitated for a moment and slowly said, using the dead souls to kill people is not against the rules. However, once the dead souls appear, if they are unwilling to leave. Su Yu said blankly, that's right, sir. Don't the dead souls have to leave 3 days later? Or rather, they can't leave the city at all. This river map, how can it use the dead souls to fight for supremacy in the heavens? Strange. Old Turtle didn't say anything. Yun Xiao was about to speak when Old Turtle interrupted, Yun Xiao, take him away. Yun Xiao swallowed his words and looked at Su Yu, saying coldly, don't ask what you shouldn't ask. What nonsense are you asking? He almost made me say it out loud. Fortunately, boss stopped him. As expected, the humans were very cunning. This kid was actually trying to trick me. Yun Xiao thought to himself. Su Yu felt regretful. It seemed that there was a way to get the dead souls out. Of course, if these people didn't say anything, Su Yu wouldn't ask. The demon race might know. Otherwise, how would he bring the flame demon back? Forget it. He didn't need to worry about this matter for the time being. His luck today was pretty good. Although there was nothing in Hongmeng City and this old turtle might not make a move for him, at the critical moment, even if it was just summoning the ancient city. It was fine to scare people. After all, he was a half-emperor powerhouse. It didn't matter if he didn't make a move. As long as he was placed at the back, it would be a big flag. Su Yu still had some tricks up his sleeve. Yun Xiao dragged him and quickly left. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2310. 2310 Chapter 502 Have a Conscience for. After he left, Old Turtle opened his eyes and looked in the direction where Su Yu had left. There was some doubt in his eyes. There was something unusual about Su Yu. Old Turtle had seen the power of his bloodline. It wasn't any special power. However, it was almost impossible for Su Yu to complete the 72 iron-eating forgings. The 72 casting of iron was the most powerful technique of the Iron Eaters. Even with the bloodline and talent of the Iron Eaters, very few people could truly complete the 72 casting. It was hard to say if there was still one. How could Su Yu complete it? Also, how did he transform this body forging technique into a body forging technique that was suitable for human cultivation? Also, that battle technique with divine runes was unusual. Also, many things were actually unusual. The Five Elements divine art had already lost its inheritance. Even the Five Elements clan had lost their inheritance. In the past, when the Five Elements separated and the Five Elements divine art separated, the ancient human emperor had taken back this technique and classified it as a forbidden technique. Although this Five Elements divine art had yet to be completely perfected, Su Yu should not have learned it. The suspicion in Old Turtle's eyes grew more and more. What a strange little fellow. In the tunnel below, the roar sounded again. Old Turtle, let me out. I'll let that fellow know what true strength is. Old Turtle sighed and said helplessly, You've lost your memory and your temper has become irritable. You're no longer as calm as before. It's just a small matter. You'll forget it after a night's sleep. What a big matter. Go to sleep, go to sleep. When he fell asleep, he couldn't remember anything. He started to close his eyes and sleep, letting he too struggle. He wanted to break his guard, but he too was still too young. Below, he too struggled for a while. With a cold snort, he turned around and disappeared. A large number of dead souls followed him and walked into the distance. He too no longer struggled. This old turtle is too strong. It doesn't matter. I will go and call someone to break this old turtle's guard. On the way back, Yun Xiao took Su Yu for another round. They ran all over the place. It was completely different from the previous route, so Su Yu didn't mind. Now he understood that this person wanted to run around randomly. It had nothing to do with the route. She couldn't wait to stay outside for a little longer. It was pretty good. Su Yu could at least ask more questions to understand more about the situation. For example, when they arrived at the Sea of Desire Plain, Su Yu asked, Sir, this place is very strange. Once an expert enters, it's easy to be moved away. Why is that? Cloud Sky Ancient City was actually not far from the Sea of Desire Plain. As expected, Cloud Sky knew, he casually said, back then, an expert died here. When he was alive, he was proficient in the Tao of Desire. The stronger he was, the easier it was for him to resonate with this expert and be controlled by desire. Hence, this place is called the Sea of Desire Plain. Once it reaches eternity, most of it can be avoided. Su Yu understood. So that was the case. A peerless expert had died here. After flying to the Sea of Stars, Su Yu asked again, "Sir, then why is this Sea of Stars floating?" Yun Shao also knew, he said again, "It has something to do with the ancient times. Back then, the Sea of Stars didn't float. Later on, the Tao partner of an expert said that when one lands in the sea, the stars they see aren't beautiful. That expert spent countless years and finally used a great formation to float the Sea of Stars. F***CK. Su Yu was speechless. How could this be? Which expert was so bored? "Sir, what are those countless stars in the air? Why can't an expert catch those stars even when they fly in the air?" Yun Shao said again, "That star, actually, it's not a star. It should be an acupuncture point. This has existed since ancient times. It's rumored that when the heavenly battlefield was established, many experts died from exhaustion. Their acupuncture points turned into stars. It's not a real star." Su Yu was speechless again. Aperture? An aperture that was as big as a star. It was really terrifying. Was it true? From the meaning of this, Yun Shao had only heard of it and had not really seen it before. "Sir, why is there a rule that geniuses meet in the heavenly battlefield?" Because the heavenly battlefield was originally a training ground for geniuses. At that time, all the geniuses from all over the world would come here to train and hide. Is that still called a training ground? Therefore, it is also a rule that geniuses meet easily. "Sir, isn't it good for all the worlds to live in peace? Why must there be a war? Ask the human race." Yun Shao said bluntly, "Out of the 10 great wars, 9 of them were started by the human race. After so many times, the moment the human race shows signs of rising, all the races will naturally learn a lesson and kill you. Then why not completely destroy us when we're weak? Were you weak 400 years ago?" Yun Shao asked rudely, "What was the result?" The human race has many tricks up their sleeves. It will be very difficult to completely destroy them. Moreover, the heavenly battlefield will be closed regularly. During this period, the human race will rise again. Su Yu wanted to laugh, but he wanted to laugh. It was a little strange. They couldn't kill them all. If they didn't kill them, the human race would appear again. It was likely that the 10,000 races would collapse as well. If it is closed regularly, how often does the heavenly battlefield close down? It varies from thousands of years to tens of thousands of years. Alright, it was still early. The human realm passage had only opened for a few hundred years. "Sir, do you understand the heaven hunting pavilion?" Yun Shao looked around and enjoyed the beautiful scenery. He did not care what he asked. Yun Shao answered perfunctorily, "I do." The heaven hunting pavilion. During the closure period of the heavenly battlefield, except for a few places, no one is allowed to live in other places. The heaven hunting pavilion has been relying on the heaven hunting ranking to protect some people. Therefore, they can be considered as permanent residents of this place. Actually, the Saint City can also be considered as a permanent guest. However, during the closure period of the Saint City, the longer the people live, the more likely they will become dead. Therefore, it is very difficult for the Saint City to protect some people until the next opening of the heavenly battlefield. The heaven hunting pavilion can borrow the heaven hunting ranking. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2311. 2311 Chapter 502, A person must have a conscience. 5. Is the heaven hunting list a divine weapon? Yes. Yun Shao scooped up a big fish and wanted to eat it. She glanced at Su Yu from the corner of her eyes and felt a little embarrassed. "I'm a dignified guardian of the holy city. What if Suyu sees me eating a fish? Suyu saw that she was also a quick-witted person and hurriedly said, Sir, I'm a little hungry. Can I grill the fish? Sure. Yun Xiao was understanding. He nodded and could grill the fish. Suyu didn't say much. Very soon, he used the fire of 5 elements to grill the fish. After thinking for a while, he used the fire of inheritance to grill the fish. This kind of innate divine text should have a better taste after being roasted. As for the seasoning, there was no need. The wood-type divine text exploded. Green leaves surrounded the grilled fish. The fragrance of the green leaves filled the air. The water-type divine text exploded. The rootless water washed over the fish. The God-expanding hammer waved and shook the fish meat. The strength and taste were extremely good. The divine script exploded one after another, dazzling Yunxiao. Fish could be eaten like this? She looked at Suyu with satisfaction in her eyes. Not bad at all. Of course, this Suyu seemed like he was going to grill himself to eat. Then what should she do? Just as she was thinking, Suyu finished roasting the fish, and it was full of fragrance. He smiled and said, Sir, how about a bite? I don't taste good when I eat alone, but when I eat with many people, it will taste good. Then let me give it a try. Yun Xiao remained expressionless. A golden chopstick appeared in Suyu's hand. Yun Xiao picked it up awkwardly and picked up a piece of fish, one after another. He swallowed it in one bite. He nodded and said, Not bad. Suyu was speechless. Are you a cat? You ate such a big piece in one bite. Yun Xiao did not care about him. You invited me to eat it, and I took a bite. It was so much in one bite. The taste was really good. Suyu seriously suspected that Yun Xiao was actually a cat. In any case, it was right that she wasn't a human. Suyu didn't care about this. Seeing that she was still satisfied, he smiled again and said, Sir, did you build the Cloud Sky Saint City yourself? Together, back then. Yun Xiao paused and didn't continue. He said perfunctorily, Count it as me building it. Sir, I heard that there are some treasures and opportunities in the ancient city. I stayed in the ancient city for a period of time, so why didn't I encounter these opportunities? The ancient city had a lot of opportunities. Some people had encountered weapons, cultivation techniques, and some people had picked up treasures. Why didn't I have anything? Was he looking down on me? Yun Xiao didn't really care about this. He casually said, Some of the things in the ancient house of the sacred city were left behind by the experts who had stayed in the city back then, and some were rewarded by the heaven and earth for their meritorious service in guarding the dead soul world. You haven't experienced it before, so you don't know that every once in a while, the heaven and earth will reward the sacred city, including the guards like us. It can be considered as the salary you mentioned. Of course, it only happens once every 1,000 years. If there were people in the ancient house back then, there would be some rewards, including the city lord, and also a large number of rewards. Suyu suddenly understood. They were even paying salaries. No wonder. Then, the lords have accumulated a lot of treasures during these countless years. Yun Xiao casually said, It can be considered that, but most of them have been used up. Some things cannot be used, so they might accumulate some. Then, where did the heaven and earth rewards come from? Suyu was puzzled. Yun Xiao smiled and said, It came from the Starry Mansion. Suyu was stunned. Starry Manor? The reward was in the Starry Manor. What did he mean? Yun Xiao smiled, The Starry Manor. Boss said it, but didn't you hear? There's a manor before there's a heavenly battlefield. Everything is built around the Starry Manor. Now, the heaven and earth rewards and treasures are almost all in the Starry Manor. The Starry Manor, saying it's a manor is much more complicated than you think. Even though we've been there in the past, we've never entered the core of this place. This place, is much more powerful than you can imagine. Su Yu hurriedly asked, isn't it the ancient sovereign's manner? You can say that. Yun Shao replied perfunctorily, don't ask too much. There are some things that we don't tell you. On one hand, we don't know much, and on the other hand, we can't say too much. When it comes to some ancient emperors, it's not beneficial to say too much. It's best not to even mention it. These experts might be dead, or they might not be. In short, there are many secrets in the myriad realms. Su Yu took a deep breath and asked again, Sir, let me ask you one more thing. In the ancient times, were there many invincible experts? In the 36 sacred cities, there were 36 invincible experts and half-emperors. Such experts were only here to guard the world of the dead souls. Yun Shao smiled and said, it's not bad. It's not too much to say. We are also considered experts of that era. We are not experts, and we are not qualified to guard a world. In addition, we weren't as strong as we are now back then. It's been too long. We've also been cultivating and honing ourselves, so we're stronger than we were back then. At this point, the ancient city was in sight. Yun Shao was somewhat reluctant to part with it. I actually don't want to go back. Forget it, forget it. I'll go back then. I can't drag Su Yu to his death all at once. I'll take it slow. She brought Su Yu with her and disappeared in an instant. Su Yu heard her voice. You'd better go to Yuhong Holy City. Yuhong can't hold on much longer. Hongmeng City doesn't need you to bear too much of the aura of death. Yuhong needs your help. Su Yu nodded. He understood. By the way, I'm going to look for heaven's destruction. If I go to Yuhong Ancient City, it'll be a little difficult for me to bear it. Do I still need to look for heaven's destruction? As for Tianmie, should I forget about it? I saw that Tianmie was very energetic. There were no signs of trouble at all. Not far away, Tianmie's eyes were wide open as he watched Su Yu and Yun Shao enter the city. His eyes were filled with desire and anticipation. I want to go out. I don't want to stay in this damned place anymore. I'm not afraid of suffering, but I'm afraid of comparison. Xinghong and Yun Shao, these two bastards, are too much. It's too exciting. If they hadn't left the city, Tianmie felt that he would have been able to endure it. However, both of them had left, and only I hadn't left. I refuse to accept this. Su Yu is my disciple, why didn't he come and save me? Have you forgotten the breathing technique and vibration technique I taught you? How can you be so heartless? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2312. 2312 Chapter 503, Call your parents if you need anything. 1. Su Yu had returned. Outside, ancient cities were densely packed, covering the world. The 9 realms were suppressed to the point that they couldn't raise their heads. No, they weren't suppressed. They were surrounded. 35 ancient cities surrounded the entrance to the 9 realms. The experts of the 9 realms wanted to cry, but they couldn't fight. Even if they fought, they couldn't fight in our homes. This was too dangerous. It really required courage and confidence to be neighbors with the ancient city of Stellar Hong. Su Yu walked out of the ancient city of Cloud Sky. As soon as he stepped out of the door, dragon roars shook the sky. In the sky above the ancient city, several huge dragons soared. A golden dragon with an extremely powerful aura glanced at the ancient city with some fear. The huge dragon eyes looked at Su Yu, and its voice was loud and clear, shaking the entire area. Su Yu, the Sea of Stars has been the territory of the dragon race since ancient times. The dragon race doesn't want to cause any more trouble in the ancient city alliance, but the ancient city of Hongxing needs to move away from the Sea of Stars and cannot establish itself in the Sea of Stars. Once they established themselves in the Sea of Stars, the Sea of Stars would have an additional overlord force, which was not in line with the interests of the dragon race. Therefore, even if the other party had a stone sculpture, the dragon race had to stand out at this moment and make Suyu give up on this idea. Suyu smiled and said, "This dragon race expert is joking. The history of the ancient city of Xinghong may be even earlier than that of your dragon race. Why is the Sea of Stars your dragon race's territory? Moreover, I want to move away. It's useless for you to tell me. Why don't I call the Lord Guardian to chat with you?" The golden dragon hovered in the sky, and its voice was like thunder. "Suyu, the dragon race also has eternity, and also has a half-emperor. The reason you have taken root here is to compete with the dragon race. The dragon realm cannot be relocated. The ancient city can, but it's just a relocation. Do you really want to be the enemy of the dragon race?" Suyu curled his lips and very quickly, he smiled and said, "The dragon race expert must be joking. I don't have that intention. About this matter, it's not up to me alone. How about this, I'll help you pass on the message to the ancient city guards. Is that all right? You can't force me to make such a decision alone, right? If the guards don't move, can I force them to move?" As he said that, Suyu smiled and said, "There are some things that everyone can make money by being friendly. There's no need to fight over a small matter. Your dragon clan has provoked dozens of unrivaled warriors. Do you really want to fight with them?" Suyu laughed and said, "I'm straightforward. Don't mind the dragon clan. Let's discuss it properly. Do you really want to have an unrivaled battle over a small matter? There's no need for that. Let's talk about it later. At least wait until I unify the ancient city. If the ancient city isn't unified, it won't be up to me, right?" After saying that, Suyu rose into the air and said with a smile, "Wait a moment. I just received orders from Lord Hong Meng, the head of the 36 city guards, to take over Yuhong's sacred city. Is the city lord of Yuhong's sacred city here? What about me?" At this moment, a somewhat depressed, sorrowful, complicated, hidden bitterness, and sorrowful voice sounded. "Heaven's destruction. What about me? Why is it Yuhong again? Isn't it my turn yet?" Suyu cupped his hands toward the heavenly destruction ancient city. He was somewhat surprised. In the sky above the ancient city, the city lord of Tianhe city was hovering in the air, but, what was with the blood on his head? He didn't care too much about it. Could it be that there was a problem with his cultivation? He didn't pay much attention to it and quickly said with a smile, "Lord Heavenly Destruction, please wait a moment. Rainbow's sacred city was ordered by Lord Hong Meng to take over. Let's take care of this first. Is the city lord of Rainbow City here?" At this moment, a black tiger flew out from an ancient city. Suyu was stunned. A big tiger? He had thought that the sacred city of rainbows was a female ancient city. Wasn't it? Or was it a female tiger? He could not tell. Also, what breed of tiger was this? It was so black. It was so black that one could not even see it in the dark night. The tiger flew out and looked a little weak. It said, "City Lord Su wants to take over this city. That would be the best." The ancient city of rainbows couldn't hold on any longer. Suyu could see this point now. There was a high probability that this tiger wasn't a real black tiger. Instead, it was surrounded by the aura of death, causing the aura of death to be dense. It was about to die, which was why it was so black. As for its main body appearing, it might not even have the strength to transform into its human form. Was it that serious? At this moment, the void trembled, and experts appeared one after another. Someone transmitted his voice, "If Suyu takes over a city, that city's ancient stone sculptures will be able to leave the city to fight. If he doesn't take over, wouldn't there be no stone sculptures leaving the city to fight? Everyone, should we stop him? In the past, things were good. The city lord of the ancient city wasn't allowed to leave the city. But now, Xinghong and Yun Xiao have left the city one after another. If a few more stone sculptures leave the city, the entire situation in the heavenly battlefield would change. A large number of experts gathered around. Seeing that Suyu wanted to fly into the ancient city of Yuhong, someone sent a voice transmission. Suyu freed the combat strength of the ancient city's stone sculptures and killed Suyu. This will end everything once and for all. Of course, there will definitely be some trouble and danger at this moment. However, once Suyu really releases those ancient stone sculptures, there will really be a force that cannot be controlled in the myriad of worlds. Don't forget, Suyu is a human after all. The human race was not a good thing. It was a vicious cycle. The human race was weak and the 10,000 races were oppressing them. When the human race became stronger, they would take revenge. After taking revenge, the 10,000 races would find an opportunity to take revenge as well. This was reincarnation. Time and time again, the 10,000 races would always choose to oppress the human race, and the human race would always choose to take revenge. Now, Suyu was also a human. The human race was already strong enough. If they allied with these ancient cities' stone sculptures, it would be even harder for the human race to deal with them in the future. Kill Suyu. Kill him or not? If they didn't kill him, what would happen if the alliance was really successful? Previously, they had planned to let the ancient city's city lords create trouble, but now, Yun Xiao and Xinghong had appeared one after another, intimidating everyone. Those city lords relied on the stone sculptures, so they didn't dare to say anything. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2313. 2313 Chapter 503, Call your parents if you need anything too. The city lords of the two ancient cities, Chongping and Shanxi, had all stopped talking. They had only spoken a few words and had almost been beaten to death by their own backers. Who would dare to speak nonsense again? At this moment, the 10,000 races had no choice but to surface. Invincible appeared one after another. A month ago, a war had just broken out and many Invincible had died. Today, Invincible actually didn't want to come, but he had no choice but to show himself. Suyu was also slightly shocked. Damn! Was it really worth it? Were the 10,000 races too anxious? At this moment, several powerful dragons came again in the sky, and Invincible aura also erupted. A heavenly dragon hovered in the sky, incomparably huge. It looked down at the ancient city and Suyu, and a strange look appeared in its huge eyes. It said slowly, Suyu, the dragon race has no intention to fight with you, so they moved the ancient city out of the Sea of Stars. This is not my intention, but the Dragon Emperor's. You humans often say that two tigers cannot live on the same mountain. If we are not looking for trouble, how can we allow others to sleep on the side of the bed? It made sense. If it were him, if a powerful force wanted to take root at his doorstep, he would have to chase them away. However, if they were not in the Sea of Stars, where would they find a place to go? Suyu smiled and said, everyone has misunderstood. I have no intention of gathering all of the ancient cities into the Sea of Stars. It's just a meeting. The ancient cities are used to suppress the passage of the dead souls. Actually, we can't just run around. After the meeting, everyone will go back to their own homes. Only the ancient city of Grand Star is here. On the dragon race's side, the ancient city of Grand Star has stood in the Sea of Stars for countless years. Are you going to chase us away now? Talk nicely. Let's talk business. There's no need to fight these large clans head-on. That won't do either. Invincible of the Dragon Clan said coldly, you could have done it before, but now, as long as you, Suyu, become the city lord, the ancient city of Grand Star will no longer be able to stand tall in the Sea of Stars. We're not worried about the stone sculptures, but about you, Su Yu. And you, Su Yu, are indeed worth worrying about. You're not a good guy. You've sealed off the ancient city many times, killed a large number of suns and moons, and even killed 3 generations of invincible. Now, the Starry Palace will open. The ancient city of Grand Star is even more important. We can't let Su Yu stay here. It's too dangerous and troublesome. Su Yu raised his eyebrows. Are you forcing me to leave? If I don't leave, it looks like I can't. This wasn't just the dragon race's intention. It seemed that the 10,000 races didn't want the ancient city of Great Star to stand here. Su Yu smiled and said, "Dragon race experts, aren't you going a bit too far? It's hard to say if the ancient city came first or if you guys came first in this sea of stars, right? I've already given in. I've already said it. There's only one ancient city here. Why is there a need to be so aggressive? Is there any meaning to really shed all pretense of cordiality?" While he was speaking, a city lord token was flickering in his mind. Lord Hongmeng, Lord Hongmeng. The Dragon Clan is forcing our sacred city to relocate. They won't allow our sacred city to take root in the Sea of Stars. Even your Hongmeng city has to be relocated. Lord, what should I do? Why don't we relocate? Su Yu couldn't defeat the Dragon Clan anyway, so he asked Old Turtle first. If the Old Turtle wanted to leave, then he should just leave. If the Old Turtle didn't stick his head out, he might not be able to intimidate the Dragon Clan by relying on Xing Hong and Yun Xiao. The Dragon Clan was also a faction with the existence of a half-emperor. They were extremely powerful, and they were ranked in the top 5 among all the clans in the universe. Su Yu didn't want to provoke such a large clan for no reason, so it wasn't his problem. If worst came to worst, he would just migrate. Hongmeng Ancient City. It had been quiet for thousands of years. Su Yu had only just left, and he had already created some trouble for himself. Old Turtle opened his eyes and looked at the sky. He looked at the rippling blue waves of the ocean and felt a little helpless. I knew I couldn't find a city lord. He would rather suppress the ancient city alone. That was because the city lord was the ancestor of the troublemakers. It was the same for he too and Su Yu. The dragon race hadn't made a move against the ancient city for tens of millions of years. Now, they were making a move because Su Yu was a threat to them. At the same time, in the sky above the ancient city. In the ancient cities, stone sculptures were also erupting with pressure, shaking the heavens and earth. However, only Xing Hong and Yun Xiao could threaten the 10,000 races. These two could leave the city, but the others couldn't. At this moment, a demon king walked out and looked at the various ancient cities. He said slowly, "The demon race has no intention of participating in the matters of the Sea of Stars. The demon emperor has also withdrawn the demon race's forces in the Sea of Stars. However, the demon emperor has also said that it is not appropriate for the 10,000 worlds to start another war. Su Yu, if you are stubborn and insist on persisting, the 10,000 races will definitely join forces once again. Be it the ancient cities or the human race. Su Yu will fall into war because of you." Su Yu looked at him silently. After a long while, he said, "The demon emperor is still alive? You want to get involved in this? Also, if you want to fight the human race, go fight the human race. Why are you telling me this?" Su Yu could not help but laugh. "I'm full by myself. My whole family is not hungry. No, I have a father. Go and beat him to death. If he's dead, we can just go all out. I can withdraw from the Sea of Stars and block your demon world. Does the demon emperor think that there are too many 3 generations? How many more times do you want to come? If I cripple your demon world, how about I give some benefits to the celestials and celestials? Why was there so much trouble in the demon world?" He had to get involved in everything. Just as he was thinking, a person stepped through the air and looked at Su Yu. Then, he looked at the invincible demon and said softly, "The demon emperor has ordered that the demon race cannot interfere in the matters of the Sea of Stars." Modwa, whose purple hair flew in the air, looked at the invincible demon and said calmly, "Demon King the Duo, there are still some important matters in the demon world waiting for you to deal with when you return. It's best that you don't interfere in these trivial matters." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2314. 2314 Chapter 503, Call Your Parents If You Need Anything 3. This time, Su Yu was stunned, and the others were also slightly surprised. Something happened to the demon race. Internal strife? Or was it to test the demon emperor? Someone wanted to seize power. The demon emperor lost 2 third-generation bodies, but later on, he killed an invincible one and recovered his past body, but his future body still hadn't recovered. Could it be that some demon race expert couldn't endure it anymore? They wanted to seize power. This was very common. It was the same for all the races. When there was no supreme expert in the race who could suppress everyone, it would naturally cause some people's ambitions to erupt. Everyone wanted to be the boss and it was great to be the second. However, there was still a person who was suppressed by the higher-ups. That would be displeasing. When there was a chance to be the boss, these people would not let it go. Clearly, this Demon King the Duo might have come to find trouble on purpose. Or he might have simply come to rope in the various races in order to force the Demon Emperor. Su Yu couldn't help but laugh. As expected, where there were living beings, it was all in the pugilistic world. He really thought that the demon race was united. From the looks of it now, the Demon Emperor was injured, and the demon race had many petty tricks up their sleeves. This demon race was about to make trouble publicly. Just as he was thinking, a voice suddenly sounded by his ear. Su Yu's heart moved slightly, and he heard someone whisper in his ear, "The Duo is the Demon Emperor's man." Su Yu was stunned for a moment. Modwa. The Duo was the Devil Emperor's man. What did that mean? He was a little dizzy from the commotion. In the next moment, he vaguely thought of something and heard. Modwa said again, "There are some unusual movements from the blood-fire devil race. Currently, most of the devils that are active in the outside world are from the blood-fire devil race. The Devil Emperor wants to start another war and cause the blood-fire devil race in the outside world to suffer heavy losses." At this moment, Su Yu suddenly understood. Damn! These old fellows were doing this on purpose. The Demon Emperor had intentionally sent this Duo to look for trouble because he felt that Su Yu had a fiery temper and it would be best if he could cripple the blood-fire demon race. As for losing the strength of the demon world, the strength of the demon world did not mean that it was the strength of the Demon Emperor. Then who did Modwa represent? Blood-fire demon race? These guys, one said after another, they didn't seem to be easy to deal with. Modwa suddenly told him this, hoping that he wouldn't be provoked and start a war with the blood-fire devil race. Su Yu thought in his heart as he looked at the experts in the sky. He was also depressed. What were they all doing? I'm just a small figure, you all keep staring at me and have designs on me. Some schemers even want to use me to help me eliminate some opponents. As expected, there aren't many who are pure. This demon race, Demon King the Duo, was probably eager to find trouble with the demon world. This demon race also learned to play tricks. He was still thinking. Demon King the Duo looked at Modwa and said indifferently, "Modwa, why didn't you cultivate properly? Why did you come out? Besides, when was it your turn to pass on the Demon Emperor's orders?" Modwa said calmly, "The lords all have important matters and can't come out. I'll pass on the message." Demon King the Duo, do you think that I'm passing on the Demon Emperor's orders? That's not it. The Duo smiled and looked at Su Yu. He said playfully, "Then forget it, Su Yu. Take care of yourself. The ancient city of Grand Star is too close to the Sea of Stars. The 10,000 races will not allow you to take root here. Su Yu, it's best to be a little more honest and leave the Sea of Stars as soon as possible. Su Yu glanced at him. Suddenly, he smiled and said, I am a straightforward person and am not good at scheming and scheming. I don't understand what you are saying. Using me as a knife, my knife is not good, so why is there a need for that? If you really want to do something, why don't I give you a suggestion? Throw one of the Blood Fire Demon King or Demon Emperor into the ancient city. I guarantee that I'll definitely kill them. I'm 100% sure that if I don't kill them, I'll compensate you with my life. You're too straightforward. Everyone was speechless. Su Yu looked at those experts who were eyeing him covetously. Are they not going to let me leave the city? Or what? This stalemate was not going to work. At this moment, there was one more person beside him. Yun Xiao left the city once again and transmitted his voice, ignore him. Go to the Rainbow Sacred City and take over the city. He did not have time to waste with them. Yun Xiao was much more straightforward than Xing Hong. After the transmission ended, he coldly said, You want to start a war? Dragon race, quickly retreat. The dragon race was invincible. His gigantic eyes coldly stared at Yun Xiao. Yun Xiao is guarding the ancient city. For tens of thousands of years, the ancient city has never participated in the battle of the heavens. Don't tell me you want to change your stance today and abandon the ancient rules for the sake of Su Yu. Can you, Yun Xiao, make the decision on behalf of the entire sacred city? A moment later, Xing Hong also flew over from the ancient city. His aura was incomparably powerful as he coldly spoke, the sacred city has the rules of the sacred city. Tens of thousands of years ago, the dragon realm wasn't in the starry sea. This place isn't the territory of the dragon race. The next moment, an immortal-like expert walked out. He said with a smile, Don't be angry, Xing Hong. The 10,000 races only want peace in the universe. The sacred city has not been involved in a conflict for tens of thousands of years. Su Yu's matter has a lot to do with it. The key is that he is still a human. I think all of you know a thing or two about the conflict between the human race and the 10,000 races in the universe. Once the war breaks out, people will be devastated. Su Yu had no choice but to raise his hand like a primary school student. He raised his hand and said aggrievedly, Everyone, aren't you overestimating me? I'm only at the Lingyun realm, a person on the verge of death. I just want to be the boss. Do you have to go against me? The human race. I'm almost a dead spirit now. How can I be considered a human? If you want to fight the human race, go fight them yourself. Why do you have to bully a child like me? Su Yu sighed helplessly. A ball appeared in his hand. He touched it and said helplessly, Is it useful to beat me to death? Beat me to death. Harry Ball, can you be the city lord? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2315. 2315 Chapter 503, Call your parents if you need anything for. Alright. Little Harry Ball quickly agreed. It's pretty good. I also want to be the boss. Su Yu smiled and looked around. Since the 10,000 clans had come out personally, he was no longer polite and did not hesitate anymore. He smiled and said, City lords, the current situation is a little complicated. It seems that the 10,000 clans do not want Ancient City to become an alliance force, nor do they want me, Su Yu, to become a bridge and communicator. What boss or not boss? It's just a joke. This kid's strength is weak, so how could he dare to be an alliance leader? It's all a joke. He just wants to serve everyone and establish a channel of communication. Now that the 10,000 clans are here, and all the guards are here, everyone, give me your word. Will our alliance still succeed? On the other side, the Milky Way City Lord's face was covered in blood. Hearing this, he still smiled and said, "Of course, we have to succeed. We are all very humble people. We just want to feel at ease. What heavenly hegemony! What cutting across the ages! These are not things that we should consider. The Sacred City Alliance has to be established. At least let outsiders see that the Sacred City has the strength to fight. Don't just cause trouble for us poor people." After he finished speaking, another city lord said in a deep voice, "Suyu, it doesn't matter whether you want to establish an alliance or become the alliance master. It's nothing. I just want to know what we can get and what we have to pay. Straightforward." Suyu smiled and said, "This senior is straightforward enough. You're right. Whether it's an alliance or not, there's only one word to say: profit. Without profit, what can our alliance do? It's meaningless." Suyu looked around and looked at those city lords, ignoring those experts in the sky. He smiled and said, "The benefits of an alliance, let's talk about it briefly. First, confidence. Let's talk about what happened before. My predecessor, the Dark Demon Dragon, was pitiful. He was like a dog to others. He didn't dare to open the city. He didn't dare to seal the city either. He's a dragon that doesn't have long to live, yet he still has to pretend to be a dragon. The human Grand Xia King threatened a few times, the demon Blood Miluo King threatened a few times, the celestial white-haired godly king threatened a few times, and the immortal Dao King threatened a few times. How tragic. But once the alliance is formed, these kings won't dare to be so unbridled." Suyu smiled and said, "I can guarantee this. If there's another one who dares to talk about invincibility, we'll fight. If there are more, we won't dare to say it. If 3 or 5 invincibles dare to provoke us, the sacred city will instantly arrive. It won't be a problem for us to crush a few of them with a single punch." When Suyu said this, some of the invincibles' faces turned cold. Suyu did not care and continued, "This is number 1. Give everyone confidence. Those who have become city lords are almost dead. They are almost becoming undead. Why must they live so sullenly? Number 2, extend their lives." Those city lords looked at him one after another. Many city lords even wanted to step out of the ancient city, but they held back. Even those unrivaled warriors held back what they wanted to say. Right. This was Suyu's confidence. He had always been unrestrained and unrestrained. The stone sculptures acted for him as if it was because he could use the aura of death. Could it be that he had the ability to wear down the aura of death? He definitely did. Suyu smiled and said, "Everyone, once the alliance is established, I can give you all a promise. City lords, of course, not all of them at the moment. Only a portion of the city lords can transfer around 30% of the aura of death to the guardians." As soon as these words were said, a city lord exclaimed, "Are you serious? Transfer the aura of death?" At this moment, those stone sculptures were also communicating. "Xing Hong, Yun Xiao, is this kid talking nonsense? We're already under a lot of pressure. The city lord is here to share the pressure. How can he continue to bear the aura of death? That's right, unless this kid is more or less the city lord, but he..." Yun Xiao didn't pay too much attention to it. He transmitted his voice, "Boss means that this guy is going to be a relay that connects all the cities. Even if he doesn't take over the position of city lord, this guy can actually take over some of the positions of city gate officers in each city. He can just ask the city lord to transfer the death aura to him. In this way, he can choose to offset some of it himself, or transfer it to a guard like Xing Hong who has spare strength." Xing Hong. Me? What does that have to do with me? Why do I have to bear the aura of death? Xing Hong was speechless. What about you, Yun Xiao? As they were discussing, the eyes of those city lords were flickering. There was a female city lord. She said coquettishly, City Lord Su, you can't joke about this. If you can really bear 30% less aura of death, then this elder sister will be the first to support you as the leader of the alliance. If anyone is unconvinced, as long as they can do what City Lord Su said, I'm willing to support him as the leader of the alliance. City Lord Su, is what you said true or false? If you say that it's not the whole story, then who can bear less death aura? What do you need to do? Don't tell me you're working for City Lord Su. Suyu said bluntly, so what if I'm working for him? What, giving you benefits out of thin air? I don't like what you're saying. Giving and receiving are both proportional. If everyone thinks that you only want to receive, don't want to give, only want the benefits, don't want the disadvantages, you can totally not participate in this. Mingling around in the heavenly battlefield, do you think you can get something for nothing? We are all old people in the heavenly battlefield, not children. You just said that you are a child. Some people wanted to ridicule him, but they held back. Suyu was young, and he had said all the right and wrong words. What else could everyone say? Suyu said bluntly, sell your life, and operate normally. If you don't sell your life, then you want the benefits. That's nonsense. As for who exactly can get the benefits of reducing the aura of death, we can talk about this privately. There's no need for the myriad clans to listen and meddle. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2316. 2316 Chapter 503, Call your parents if you need anything 5. Suyu laughed again. This is the second benefit. The third is to fight for some benefits that we couldn't get before. For example, the quota for the Starry Mansion. Regardless of whether we want it or not, the myriad clans will give it to us. Now that they're scattered and the myriad clans won't give it to us, what can you do? I don't believe that everyone isn't interested in the Starry Mansion. Even if it's a living dead person, we can still go in and gamble for a chance, right? Once these words were said, Invincible said coldly in the air, I'm afraid it won't be that easy to get the quota. Suyu, you're thinking too simply. Suyu smiled and said, yes, 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 it won't be that easy. It's fine. Our ancient city lacks everything but people who are about to die. Let's try it. A bunch of desperados and short-lived ghosts. Why are you afraid of this? Afraid of threats? He was too lazy to talk to them, Suyu continued, Fourth, I am still an elder of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. I have already discussed with the ministers of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. If possible, I can use the resources to exchange for some carriers. I will think of a way to let the city lords enter quasi-invincible or even Dao. Of course, I don't have that much money. Everyone, think of a way to fight for it. As soon as these words were said, many people turned to look at a faceless elder in the void. When the elder saw that everyone was looking at him, he was speechless for a long time. Yes, Suyu. It seemed that he had really come to an agreement with a few ministers. He could be the elder, but this matter was not like what Suyu had said. Suyu did not care about this. He used the secret that he had just heard, he made up some nonsense, the Heaven Hunting Pavilion does not lack carriers. After a few great catastrophes, the heavenly battlefield was sealed, and the Starry Mansion was opened. No one else could enter. Only the Heaven Hunting Pavilion, which only happens once every 10 years, has never been lacking. The carriers that they obtained were at least 80 if not 100. They have the protection of the Heaven Hunting list, so they can live here for a long time. The Starry Mansion is the Heaven Hunting Pavilion's treasure hunting ground, and it is inexhaustible. Therefore, there is no need for everyone to worry about not having enough carriers. On this point, I have also reached an agreement with the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. Suyu. The elder said angrily, how dare you talk nonsense? This was the rhythm of killing the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. Suyu smiled and said, Elder, your status is not high enough. If you don't understand, don't spout nonsense. What nonsense are you spouting? How could I not know better than you? If you don't believe me, ask the experts of the various races to go back and ask the old man and half-emperor in the clan if the heavenly battlefield is sealed once every thousands or tens of thousands of years. During this period of time, it is the heaven-hunting pavilion that is retrieving the treasures. If you don't understand, then you must pretend to understand. Ask the invincible experts here. Most likely, there are people who know about this matter. Next time, if you don't understand, don't talk nonsense with me. The sun is high and the moon is heavy. It's probably only a small figure who entered the pavilion after this destruction. What do you know? Once these words were said, the surrounding experts all looked at each other in confusion. Some of them knew a thing or two. An invincible said faintly, Su Yu's words are true. The heaven-hunting pavilion has the most treasures in the heavens. It has entered the starry palace more times than any of the 10,000 clans. That elder was a little embarrassed and speechless at this moment. Is that so? Damn! I really didn't know. This is so awkward. He really didn't know about this situation. The pavilion had always said that there were very few carriers. From what Su Yu said, there were many. But, why didn't we see many of them? Su Yu sneered and said, I am the master of the sacred city. The sacred city has stood on the battlefield of the heavens since ancient times. What secrets don't I know? The heaven-hunting pavilion has at least 100 items. Of course, as long as you know these things, there's no need to delve into it. Some of the city lords didn't know at first, but now, their eyes were also changing. To reduce the death aura, Su Yu helped to contact the heaven-hunting pavilion in exchange for the items, giving everyone a chance to advance. Everyone was almost tortured to death by the death aura. If they really succeeded, it would be a great thing. As for selling one's life, Su Yu was right. If one wanted to obtain benefits, there was no reason not to sell one's life. In the heavenly battlefield, if the benefits you gave were high enough, there would be plenty of people who would sell their lives for you. Su Yu chuckled and said, for the time being, let's talk about these benefits. Actually, there are still some benefits. For example, everyone might have forgotten that I am an extremely outstanding researcher of human civilization. Previously, I researched a cultivation method that could extend one's lifespan. Actually, it also has the effect of counteracting the aura of death, but it is only suitable for humans. However, if the city lords do not mind, let me research on myself or capture a few hundred of my own kind to research on. I might be able to research a cultivation method that can resist the aura of death. As for myself, I'm a human. I'm not suitable for everyone. Even if you have a cultivation technique, you won't be able to use it. A cultivation technique that isn't suitable is a joke no matter how strong it is. You won't be able to use it even if you obtain it. When he said this, the city lords were actually tempted. Even the city lords that had made an agreement with some powerful clans were tempted. The cooperation between the various powerful clans was nothing more than a little bit of heaven yuan qi. They would then draw a cake and wait for you to attain the Tao before providing you with a load. However, this was definitely not the time. What was even more ruthless was that they would promise to help you kill the undead sovereign that had converted you. In reality, it was practically impossible. It was just that many people wanted to take a gamble. However, what Su Yu said could be realized. The city lords fell into deep thought. Soon, a city lord asked, then City Lord Su, what do we need to do? What do we need to pay? Su Yu smiled and said, simple, just be obedient. For example, right now, these invincible city lords all want to stop our alliance. If it were any other time, no one would be able to deal with them. Right now. Yes, all the city lords will join forces and force them into the ancient city. I guarantee that the guards will personally beat them to death. How about it? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 23:17. 23:17 Chapter 503, Call your parents if you need anything. 6. The moment these words were said, everyone fell silent. In the next moment, an expert coldly shouted, Suyu, you dare to say it? Suyu raised his head and smiled. You don't believe me? I think you will. At this moment, he received a reply. In the next moment, the aura of death on Suyu's body was astonishingly dense. Boom! An incomparably huge ancient city descended from the sky. You're blocking the path to Hongmeng's city, you broke the rules, not good. At this moment, a stone statue slowly flew out of the ancient city. It looked at Suyu with a helpless expression. Damn it, I knew I couldn't have peace. Yun Xiao, this girl has tricked the turtle. In the next moment, before the invincible expert could react, his expression changed and he instantly fell into the ancient city. With a boom, hundreds of ancient houses were shattered. You still want to destroy the ancient houses? You deserve to die. He spoke slowly. The old turtle was neither anxious nor impatient as he flew toward the invincible. The other experts in the area all retreated, and their expressions changed drastically. What was going on? Why had the last ancient city descended? Everyone was stunned. At this moment, in the ancient city, there was an incomparably huge stone statue that blotted out the sky and covered the sun. Its 4 limbs were incomparably huge as it pressed down toward the invincible. Damn it! The invincible dragon that had fallen into the ancient city was from the dragon tribe. At this moment, it instantly transformed into a huge dragon. Its 3 bodies also instantly merged into one as it walked out from the river of time. Old Turtle was taken aback. It's one thing for me to kill your entire life, but you still want to merge into one. You're making it difficult for me to kill you. If I kill you now, I'll really die. Previously, the other party only had his future body here, but in the end, he actually merged into one. The old turtle couldn't be bothered to say anything else, so he decided to intimidate the dragon tribe. He stomped on the dragon with his 4 limbs. With a loud crack, the river of time broke apart. The dragon's body trembled, and with a furious roar, it swept its tail, shattering the void. However, the giant turtle didn't pay any attention to it. It allowed the dragon's tail to sweep across the petrified turtle shell, but it didn't move at all. In the end, the dragon's tail was reduced to a bloody mess. A group of unrivaled experts in the surroundings felt a chill run down their spines. This was not eternity. This was a half-emperor. The stone statue really had a half-emperor level expert. The giant turtle directly pressed down. Rumble. The incomparably huge dragon could not tear apart space even if it wanted to. It was crushed into a bloody mess, its bones were broken, and its angry roars resounded throughout the heavens. At this moment, in the distant sky above the dragon realm, a dragon's shadow appeared. In the next moment, a space-time tunnel opened. A huge dragon stepped out and looked around cautiously. The first thing he did was to look at the little furball on Suyu's shoulder with fear in his eyes. When he looked at the stone statue again, his gaze changed. He said in a clear voice, Hongmeng, why do you have to go against the dragon clan? Since the sacred city wants to establish a sea of stars, everything can be discussed. Why do you have to fight and kill? Before he could finish his words, an explosion sounded out. The huge dragon in the ancient city was crushed, and with a boom, its entire body exploded. Ah! A miserable cry sounded out. The huge dragon instantly reversed time and once again appeared as its entire body. With a boom, it was crushed once again. When its final body appeared, the huge dragon's eyes were filled with despair. The Dragon Emperor's projection frowned as well. He looked into the ancient city, and a faint murderous aura emanated from his body. In the next moment, the giant turtle threw his last incarnation out of the ancient city. With a rumbling sound, it smashed through the void and disappeared. The giant turtle looked at the Dragon Emperor's projection and said slowly, "I'll give you a small punishment. This matter is over. The sacred city has no intention to fight for hegemony and no intention to kill. Everything is for the sake of guarding the death spirit world." The giant turtle slowly entered the city and the ancient city gradually disappeared. However, his voice echoed in all directions, "The sacred city has nothing to fear within the rules. I hope that everyone cannot let the sacred city break the rules. Otherwise, the heavens will be in a difficult situation." The phantom of the Dragon Emperor was silent for a moment, then slowly dissipated. In the surrounding area, some of the dragons instantly fled. Suyu had once again attracted a half-emperor, an ancient half-emperor. At this moment, everyone's thoughts had changed. This bastard could really hook up with someone. 3. If this continued, who would dare to provoke him? As for Suyu, his smile was terrifyingly bright. Because the aura of death was too dense, when he smiled, it was exceptionally frightening. His entire body began to turn black. If it wasn't for his aura, everyone would have thought that he had turned into a dead spirit. From the looks of it, this fellow had indeed paid a huge price. Suyu coughed up blood. The blood dripped down one drop at a time. It was all black blood. When it dripped onto the ground, it turned into an aura of death. Suyu looked as if he didn't have long to live. He smiled and said, "Everyone, go back to where you belong. Why fight with me? I have a rotten life. If I really go crazy, I can still kill a few invincible ones." The surroundings were frighteningly quiet. Are you really going to die? Or is it fake? At this moment, everyone wished that he would die immediately so that he would not cause trouble for everyone. This fellow was just about to find trouble when a huge dragon's 2 incarnations exploded. Recently, there had been quite a number of stone sculptures exploding. At this rate, the 10,000 clans would become invincible. Experts from all directions sighed. Some left, while others entered the void once more. This time, there was no use in stopping them. All they knew was that Suyu was even more difficult to deal with. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 23:18. 23:18 Chapter 504 Alliance formed, Xingyuqi 1. The act of destroying the ancient city alliance disappeared as soon as the half-emperor realm Hongmeng Old Tortoise appeared. The Dragon Emperor retreated and vanished into thin air. Suyu could not be provoked. At least, within the radius of the ancient city, when Suyu did not leave the ancient city, he was an existence that was more difficult to deal with than invincible. An existence that could not be provoked. At this moment, there were actually some human existences in the surroundings. They were all experts. Watching silently, he sighed. When the 10,000 races mentioned that Suyu's existence would cause the human race to be surrounded and killed, Suyu's answer was that he only had one father. As for the rest, they could do as they pleased. If they killed his father, he would risk his life. It was that simple. As for the human race, Suyu did not know if he was saying this on purpose or if he really did not care. Suyu was much less fearful than the other humans. The 10,000 races might not believe it, but they did not want to gamble. There was no need. In mid-air, Suyu laughed. He looked at the surrounding ancient city and said loudly, "The 10,000 races do not dare to oppose anymore. The dragon race has also retreated. Everyone, is there anyone who does not agree to the alliance?" Silence. Suyu said loudly, "If you agree to the alliance, can I trouble everyone to give me a position?" Suyu smiled and said, "If you really can't withstand the aura of death, you can tell me. Of course, giving me a position doesn't mean that you can transfer the aura of death to me at will. If that's the case, then why do you still need the city lord?" Why don't I and the Guardians directly form an alliance? Everyone, if you have thought it through, then from today onwards, the Sacred City Alliance will be officially established. The other city lords were already tempted. Even if some people relied on the large clans and were nurtured by the large clans, compared to the large clans and Suyu, the ancient city was the capital they had to establish themselves. Before Suyu could say this, on the other side, Tianhe smiled and said, City Lord Su, since you put it that way, I still have to say one more thing. Do you want to let bygones be bygones? Some of the city lords present might have some conflicts with the human race. Perhaps they didn't get along with the human race back then, or they were simply supported by the gods and demons. Some of the city lords' expressions changed. Tianhe smiled and said, however, we all share the same fate. We are just a group of living beings who are trying to survive. We want to survive. Some of us were forced to leave our hometowns and small worlds. Here, we have no one to rely on. We don't have long to live. We lack heaven yuan qi, so we can only muddle along with the gods and demons. The city lords had complicated expressions when they heard this. Becoming the city lord of an ancient city sounded awesome, but in reality, they were just pitiful people. They wanted to survive. They could be devoured by the death qi at any moment and turn into dead spirits. If not for this, there wouldn't be 9 city lords who would choose to fight against Invincible just because of Xia Longwu's promise. True geniuses and experts with a bright future wouldn't be able to become the city lord of an ancient city. They didn't have time to cultivate every day, so they could only grind the death qi and wait for death in this position. The god-fiend immortal dragon might arrange people, but it would not arrange its own geniuses and experts to become the city lord. That would be courting death, and the god-fiend geniuses and experts would not be willing to agree to it. Who would turn into the citizens of the ancient city unless it was a dead end? Courting death. But they had to survive. Therefore, some of them would secretly listen to the arrangements of the large clans and become their chess pieces, placing them in the various ancient cities. What would the large clans give them? Perhaps, they would only give a small amount of heaven yuan qi to help them neutralize the aura of death. Other than that, they would rarely give them anything else. In fact, they couldn't give them anything else. They wanted to get rid of this identity. They wanted to verify their Tao. Could the large clans give them anything? If they really could, wouldn't it be good to give it to their own people? Why would they give it to the outsiders, to these fellows who were about to die? The city lord of Heavenly River City said with deep affection, City Lord Su, you are a human, and we, some of us, come from small clans and some from the destroyed realms. The human race is one of the overlords. We are willing to fight for the ancient city alliance, but we don't want to fight for the human race's hegemony. We just want to survive. In the past, we may have killed the human race and stained the human race's blood. If City Lord Su is concerned about this matter and later takes revenge for this matter, even if Tianhe wants to guard the alliance today, we won't agree. This is also within the rules. In the city, Tianhe snorted and didn't spread it out. Did I force you? Humph. Moreover, you won't agree. You wish that Suyu would become the city lord for you, but unfortunately, that bastard Suyu never mentioned this matter and didn't want to be the son of a man. He was singing a double act. Tianhe understood it, and so did the others. However, Tianhe's words had indeed entered everyone's minds. At this moment, Chongping City Lord, who had previously offended Suyu, was covered in blood. He coughed and said, City Lord Su, we also want to live for ourselves. However, sometimes, we can't help ourselves. He also sighed and said helplessly, we are tormented by the aura of death and lack heaven yuan qi. There is no heaven yuan holy land in the ancient city, and the holy land is controlled by the strong clans. We don't even have heaven yuan qi. Don't even talk about attaining Tao. It's already a great thing to be able to maintain the aura of death from corroding us. The God clan is willing to provide us with heaven yuan qi and let us be dogs, then let's accept it. At this stage, we want to live. He said helplessly, perhaps City Lord Su feels that we are despicable, that we are too lowly and have no dignity. But us, some of us even bear the mission of inheriting our clans. I come from the fallen Wood clan that was destroyed. My clan. Only I survived. When the realm was destroyed, I was the only living creature who escaped. If I died, my clan would be completely destroyed in the universe. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2319. 2319 Chapter 504 Alliance was formed, Xingyu Qi Qiu subscribe, 2. He said helplessly, therefore, I want to live on, even if it's just a lowly life, even if it's just being a dog. As long as I can live on, it's fine, because I carry the mission of inheritance. Countless years have passed, and countless ancient races have been destroyed and disappeared in the long river of history. I don't want the fallen Wood race to become a race that is only recorded in history. The city lords were all silent. There were no experts from large clans here to serve as the city lords. The city lords were at least at the 9th level of the Sun-Moon realm. At this point, which clan would be willing to send themselves to their deaths? It wasn't like there was no way out. They were all from small clans or destroyed races. Some of them might have been the clan leaders of small clans or the strongest experts in their clans. It was too rare to see experts like the Black Fiend Dragon who came from a large clan like the Dragon Clan. The Black Fiend Dragon had fallen out with the Dragon Clan, which was why he became the city lord. Otherwise, the experts of the Dragon Clan would have looked down on the city lord of the ancient city. From the time Dao Cheng and Jiu Xian came to the ancient city and looked down from above, one could tell a thing or two about how they treated Tianhe. In their eyes, Tianhe, who was at the 9th level of the Sun and Moon realm, was nothing. He was just a person who was about to die. Su Yu looked around and smiled. Everyone, why do you all think that I'm so evil and seek revenge for the smallest grievance? Am I that kind of person? Yes. That's right. You don't have to explain, don't pretend, you are. Ever since you, Su Yu, entered the heavenly battlefield, not many people who offended you had a good ending. And you still say that you aren't? Heavenly River smiled. That's not what I mean. But according to what I think, once the alliance is formed, there must be some backbone. To be honest, City Lord Su is extremely talented, and we have talked openly. Behind City Lord Su, there are 3 half-emperor realm experts. If City Lord Su doesn't become the alliance leader, we don't dare to, and we can't afford to. If City Lord Su becomes the alliance master and doesn't speak openly to us, we will also feel uncomfortable in our hearts. Su Yu gave him a deep look. He and City Lord Tianhe could be considered old acquaintances. Back then, it was this person who had sent him to Heaven Destruction's side. This person also had some connections with Xiaolong Wu. Now, these words could be considered as supporting him. Su Yu smiled and said, since City Lord Tianhe has said so, then I won't beat around the bush anymore. I won't pursue the matter from the past. The past is the past, and it has nothing to do with me. It doesn't matter if you are supported by the gods or have a feud with the human race. At that time, Su Yu might not even exist. And we are the alliance of the sacred city, not the human race. You may have a feud with the human race. But you don't have a feud with my sacred city. I am the master of the sacred city, Su Yu, and not the master of the human race's mansion, Su Yu. Su Yu said seriously, some of you may have a blood feud with the human race. Even if you want to take revenge, I won't stop you. However, as a human, I can't kill the weak humans or the human soldiers. If you have a feud, your enemies are at least invincible. It's your personal business to take revenge, but I can't tolerate killing the weak humans. Suyu continued, if one day, the Sacred City Alliance and the human race fight and the soldiers meet, then forget what I said today. He looked at everyone, he said in a clear voice, not only the city lords, but also the residents in the city. I, Suyu, cannot give you anything else. I can give you some basic things. Everyone has treasures, blood essence, and resources. I can provide you with at least some heaven yuan qi. Suyu smiled and said, I don't have anything else, but I still have some heaven yuan qi, including the heaven hunting pavilion. I can also exchange for some, including the ancient god-devouring realm. It might be troublesome for you to get heaven yuan qi, but it's not troublesome for me. In the ancient god-devouring realm, everything is lacking except for heaven yuan qi. He raised the little fur ball, he laughed and said, this is the crown prince of the ancient god-devouring clan. On that day, when the ancient realm opened, I'm sure all of you saw that unimaginably huge ancient heaven yuan tree. As for the crown prince of the god-devouring clan, he can return to the ancient realm at any time. I have plenty of heaven yuan qi. The little hairy ball was half asleep and half awake as it silently watched Suyu's speech. How fragrant. By the way, do I know how to get home? I don't know. The little hairy ball felt wronged. I really don't know. When the big ones came out, they didn't even tell me how to get home. They even went back at any time. I don't even know which direction the door would open. Go back to what? Of course, no one would believe it. What kind of joke was this? The two members of the ancient god-devouring clan had personally killed the demon emperor 3 for the sake of the crown prince. Of course, they attached great importance to the crown prince. Suyu said that the little hairy ball could return to the ancient world at any time, and everyone believed him. It wasn't just the city lord. Even the stone sculptures believed him. After all, he was the only descendant of the devouring god clan. The two of them had probably protected him well. Perhaps, they had left some kind of guiding technique on little hairy ball's body so that he could return in an instant. At this moment, everyone also looked at little hairy ball with some fear and some relief. If they weren't in the same group, then they were afraid. But if they were in the same group, then they were family. The descendants of two half-emperors. These were probably the most respected half-emperors in the myriad realms. The other half-emperors had at most one half-emperor elder, but this one had two. This was a huge mountain. At that moment, the city lords felt more at ease. At that moment, they needed reassurance, especially the city lords who were supported by the great clans. They are weighing. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2320 2320 Chapter 504 Alliance formed, Xingyu Qi Qiu subscribe, 3. After joining the alliance, would they listen to Suyu or the gods and demons? It depended on the benefits and the weight. Whoever gave the most, and who was safer with them, they would be willing to listen to whoever. And at this moment, Suyu laughed. Suddenly, he faintly transmitted his voice, city lords, even if you are in cahoots with the gods and demons, it's not a big deal. Tell them that if you give them enough benefits, everything can be discussed. If you want to sell information, just let me know in advance. Of course, if you do it secretly. I have experience dealing with such people. Suyu smiled brightly, but the other city lords felt a slight chill in their hearts. Once these words were said, everyone began to doubt each other. Selling Suyu, maybe you did it, but others didn't. If they sold you, then it would be troublesome. Suyu smiled, he transmitted his voice again. It's fine. The big clan of gods and demons isn't omnipotent. It's fine to trick them for fun. Without them, Suyu, wouldn't be lacking resources today. Look for them. They have money. I swindled so many good things last time, but they haven't used up all of them until now. Everyone was speechless. You're ruthless. If they didn't say it, everyone would have forgotten that this guy started out as a swindler. In an instant, he had cheated the gods out of a huge amount of resources. Suyu did not send another voice transmission, he said, we are all in the same boat. I think everyone understands that whether we have status and whether we live well or not is not up to us. It is up to each and every guardian. However, each and every guardian has to put in a lot of effort to suppress the undead passageway. Some of the guardians are already having some trouble. Don't forget our roots. Our goal is to help the guardians better guard the passageway. Suyu said loudly, and the best way to help the guardians is to bear more of the aura of death. With everyone's strength increasing, there will be more residents in the city. There will be less chaos in the city. With more living people, we will be able to help the guardians. He cupped his hands towards those stone sculptures and said loudly, the guardians also know that with our strength increasing, we will be able to help them bear even more of the burden. Our interests are the same. Our demands are the same. We are complementary. The Guardian Lords are not afraid of us becoming stronger, because when we become stronger, we can die a little later to prevent us from increasing the strength of the undead world. When we become stronger, don't tell me that who still wants to kill the Guardian Lords and replace them? Suyu laughed and said, that's an idiot. The Guardian Lords had to endure the pain of guarding the passage for tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years without being able to move. Who could understand their pain? Who is willing to take over? I think that if they are willing, the guardians will be very willing. Therefore, we do not have any conflicts, including interests. As soon as these words were said, the stone sculptures that had been silent all this while suddenly, one of the stone sculptures said, Suyu, your words are very accurate. We are not worried about you becoming stronger. We are eager for you to become stronger. Therefore, within the rules, we are willing to help you become stronger and extend your life, instead of dying quickly and turning into a dead spirit. Suyu smiled and said, you are absolutely right, sir. Therefore, in my opinion, the alliance of the sacred city is the most stable alliance. It is more stable than the celestials, and humans. Unless one day, someone breaks away from the identity of the living dead. At that time, they may not be on the same side as us. Before that, we are all on the same side. What's in the past is in the past. The future has just begun. Suyu said in a clear voice, I hope that everyone will become stronger. But now, due to the suppression of the death aura, let alone becoming stronger, everyone is lucky to be alive. From today onwards, we need to create all the opportunities to become stronger. 36 sacred cities, unify the system and unify the conditions. There will be a charge for entering the city, different houses will be charged, shops will be charged, intelligence will be unified, and the system will be unified. Suyu said loudly, in the past, no one dared to do so. If the demons are here, then come in. No one dares to stop us. If the celestials are here, then come in. Do as you please. But now is not the time. We are not afraid. If you want to enter the city, you can pay up. If you want to open a shop, you can pay up. If you don't have money, don't leave the city. Become a resident to pay off your debts. If we are united, which race dares to come and find trouble? Can we enter the divine realm as we please? Can we enter the devil realm as we please? Why don't they let us enter their nest as we please? And the sacred city is our home, our nest. Why do they come and go as they please? Why should we give them the opportunities in the ancient houses for free? They can come and go as they please. Pay the money. The payment is different for the ancient houses in different rings. We can use this thing to buy heaven yuan qi, to buy things to carry us, to buy everything that can make us strong. Suyu said loudly, although the sacred city is strong, we need to be stronger. We don't need to rely on the guardians for everything. The guardians are our backers and not our nannies. When others bully us and humiliate us with their invincibility, the guardians are our anchor. But if they don't, then we will deal with them ourselves. Under invincibility, are we inferior to others? Suyu smiled and said, everyone, Suyu, will not lie. If anyone does a meritorious deed and does well, I can bear the aura of death for a period of time for him to break through and advance. I even have 2 pieces of the human race's compensation carrier, which is enough for one person to succeed in attaining Tao. Will the 10,000 races stop us from attaining Tao? Other than me, you are not human. Will the 10,000 races stop us? No, because we have half-emperors and guards. The 10,000 races would not dare, and would not offend dozens of invincible realm experts just to kill us. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2321 2321 Chapter 504 Alliance formed, Xingyu Qi Qiu subscribe, 4. This is your chance. If you become stronger, I think I will benefit as well. When he said this, someone could not help but swallow his saliva. City Lord Su, the vessel, you need it yourself. Suyu smiled and said, this thing is very valuable. If you say it's not valuable, it's nothing. For example, today, when Lord Hongmeng crushed that dragon race's 2 lives, I saw a carrier appear. If everyone trusts me, I will bring this carrier to all of you as my alliance's first reward. Last time, when I said I would give 2 carriers, Tianhe and City Lord Green Fox both got it. When I, Suyu, speak, my people are set in stone. When enemies are killed, their hearts will be executed. At this moment, regardless of whether it was real or fake, all the city lords flew out of the ancient city and bowed, we will serve the Alliance Lord. Suyu laughed, no, we will serve the Guardians. Suyu bowed, cupped his fists, and said loudly, from today onwards, the 35 city lords will serve the Guardians and contribute to the heavens. Together, we will suppress the dead souls realm and prevent the dead souls from invading the heavens. The stone sculptures looked at this fellow silently. This kid was very hypocritical. Seeing that you were smiling so much that your teeth were about to come out, you still insisted on dragging us out. What do you mean by serving us? You probably won't believe it yourself. Suyu didn't say this anymore, he smiled and said, then, I will take over the Yuhong Sacred City. The City Lord of Yuhong Sacred City and the City Lord of Azure Fox. Although the 2 of you can be relieved of your City Lord duties now, it may not be a good thing. I hope that you can still take up a position. If you make a great contribution, you can also reduce some of the aura of death. After all, the 2 of you are invincible undead. Even if you don't take up the City Lord duties, the pressure will still be huge. In Cloud Sky Ancient City, City Lord Green Fox glanced at Suyu suspiciously. This fellow said that he wouldn't live for long. Was it true? Even the half-imperial City Lord was dragged out. Even though he was extremely suspicious, City Lord Green Fox hurriedly said, yes, Alliance Lord. You're too polite. Suyu smiled amiably. Finally, he looked at the Black Tiger and said with a smile, City Lord, how should I address you? Flying Cloud. When Suyu heard this, he secretly identified it. Was it really a tigress? Tigress, he remembered one of them. The princess of the Cloud Tiger clan who was killed by him. She didn't do anything human, but insisted on doing something improper. She implicated the Cloud Tiger clan and almost caused the clan to be exterminated. City Lord Flying Cloud comes from Golden Tiger clan. Are you kidding me? Suyu looked at the pitch-black tigress. Are you sure? Golden Tiger? I think it's more appropriate for you to say Black Tiger. Suyu said in his heart, but he said with a smile, then let's go to Rainbow Sacred City now. Suyu. At this moment, a stone sculpture couldn't help but ask, what about me? What about me? Heaven's destruction couldn't hold it in anymore. What about me? I'm very supportive of you. You're still my disciple. Why don't you come and help me? Tianhe was really useless. Su Yu couldn't help but laugh. He cupped his hands in front of his chest and said, Lord Tianmia, please wait a moment. If I can bear the burden of the sacred city of rainbows, I still have some strength left. I'll definitely help you get rid of it. If I can't, then I can only wait for me to become stronger. Su Yu. Tianmia was extremely anxious. Then the next one must be me. I can't hold on much longer. In the surrounding ancient cities, the stone sculptures were speechless. How could you say such words? Tianhe was still quite powerful, and so was Tianmia. Tianmia was actually in a good condition, but the condition of the stone sculptures in the ancient city of Rainbow and the other ancient cities was actually not very good. If not for that, Hongmeng Turtle wouldn't have thought of using Su Yu as a tool to transfer some of the ancient city's death aura. Su Yu entered Rainbow Ancient City. At the same time, news of the Ancient City Alliance spread throughout the heavens. Another half-emperor appeared. Although they had expected it, when a half-emperor really appeared in the ancient city, it made the myriad races in the heavens sigh helplessly. There were indeed many secrets in the myriad realms. 3 appeared one after another. 2 from the god-devouring ancient race appeared at once. 1 from the ancient city appeared. 3 more half-emperors appeared in an instant. In the past, the stone sculptures of the ancient city didn't take action. Now, Xing Hong and Yun Xiao took action one after another. These 2 weren't weak either. These stone sculptures of the ancient city were all very powerful. One by one, they were indeed inferior to a half-emperor. In fact, he wasn't even as powerful as the great Xia Emperor, but with 3 or 5 of them making a move, what great Xia Emperor, great Qin Emperor, were they really his opponents? They were all unrivaled experts of a relatively high level. This time, the dragon race suffered a loss, and the Dragon Emperor didn't even say a single word. Clearly, the appearance of the half-emperor of the ancient cities should have given the Dragon Emperor some pressure. He definitely wasn't weak. Adding on the fact that the Devil Emperor had been injured previously, the situation in the entire myriad realms had become even more chaotic. Su Yu had also completely risen in the Sea of Stars. Eastern Warzone. Human territory. When the information from the Sea of Stars arrived, the great Qin King smiled, and his smile was very stiff. He didn't say much. Soon, he said, we don't need to care about Su Yu's side anymore. Right now, the most important thing is the opening of the Starry Palace. Now, the Celestials, Devils, Celestials, and Dragons, have all sent envoys, and they hope to meet as soon as possible to discuss the quota. Zhou Tianyuan has gone to take a look. The Starry Manor will open in half a year at most. He looked at the crowd and said, the quota for the human realm will also be determined. This is an opportunity and a crisis. Geniuses want to enter, but there are also people who are afraid of death who don't want to enter.